Limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Ric Flairing, gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death, I'm Paul Bearing, not at all scary. When I open like Betty Wops and find to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. Woo! I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary Crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People want to see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow who can't cry over spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness, it's really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like the mother guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Woo! Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase. Yeah.
There's one of
Overseas.
the
Yeah. Ric Flairing on them. Ric Flairing on them. Ric Flairing on them. Ric Flairing, son up, baby.
Hey, Roundtable Season 2. Scotty and Blue. Backpack coming through. Let's square it away. Ain't nothing like the round table. I pay you if able to find better on cable. They made you appreciate Scotty and Blue. Football media, walking encyclopedia. Scott understand the Blue got the stats handy. Football, the topic around it, they ain't dancing. Stat sheet longer than Clifford Harris's rap sheet. He run a phone, please. See why you playing them that deep. Awkward silence, no need to be quiet. You know you saw the game, we might as well talk about it. Somebody caught a body in front of everybody. Pick six, cornerback out here committing robberies. How much you want to bet we could cover the spread? 50 yards in the game, 100 after the catch. Throw it up if you want, I'ma grab it and flex. Season 2, Captain Pettier, still with the mess. You can move how you want, but we gon' move too. Round table with your boys, yeah, Scotty and Blue. Backpack. Poet.
What is going on, everybody? Yeah, listen, the round table is always here, baby. We always here to bring you, and it cannot be nothing but my boy Blue.
What's good, man? How are you? What you been up to?
Oh boy, wonder. You know, be on the road. On the road.
Hey, man.
Getting it. Hey, bro, listen, real talk, bro. I know you're gonna be in Memphis. Don't be bringing no weather delays, Blue. You listen, you 2 for 2, bro. And don't be bringing no weather delays to the city.
Hey man, I'm out of here tomorrow. I'm buying a poncho before I go, man. I made the mistake wearing that cotton, like collared shirt, man, trying to look all professional, just drenched. I'm good. I'm bringing a poncho, a towel for the camera this time. We ain't taking no chances.
Yeah, let me say what's up to my kids. What's up, guys? They on the video call. So yeah, man. But listen, you already know what it is. It's the Roundtable. Make sure you like it. You can catch me on my stream as well as you can catch me on Blue. So make sure you go to Blues. You like Blues, and make sure you come to mine and like mine, and you can watch it from there. All right. So appreciate all you guys supporting and everything like that. But we gotta start with some breaking news. You know we about the stats. Listen, Esaias Guthrie, top corner, Delaware State enters the transfer portal. Blue, when you heard the news, what was your first thoughts?
Man, it was weird timing for me. You're going into week 2, and it's the worst timing for Delaware State, man. They get a matchup with number 7 Delaware this week. And that was already going to be a really tough game to win regardless. And now you lose arguably your best defensive player. I just want to know why this decision wasn't made before the season but before the spring when he could have been eligible this season. So maybe, something happened behind the scenes that we don't know about that maybe he'll speak on later. But I think there's going to be a lot of schools around the country at both the FBS and FCS level that are going to reach out to him and really and truly give him a real opportunity, because I think we both know, watching the film, seeing this kid play, he can play at whatever level he wants to play at. I'm hoping he finds the best situation for him and we get to see him play on Sundays one day.
Absolutely, man. Listen, Esaias Guthrie is a typical size corner. I believe he's 6'2". Runs probably from tape, probably about a 4'4", maybe 4'5", but has great hands, super physical. He's great at attacking the ball at the high point. You know what I'm saying? Against bigger receivers. This is a guy that was a staple for that Delaware State defense that Coach Rod Milstead said everybody was coming back. And he was included in that everybody. And you go into week 2 without your biggest asset at DB, like you said, against Delaware, a team that loves to throw the ball around the yard. Man, I don't understand why. Just play the season out and then just jump in the portal after the season. I don't get why cut your season short to jump in the portal. Maybe a health reason. You're scared, you don't want to get hurt, something like that. But at this point in time, I don't understand it. But you can see the accolades around him, Blue. This kid is the real deal, Holyfield.
Yeah, he could have added. Listen, he was an all MEAC selection for us. It was a no-brainer. And I think when you look at how good that Delaware State defense is, I think it was him and Isaiah Williams, and there really wasn't anyone to go up against them, and they were the 2 best players. I thought, in my opinion, him and Brandon Savage were the 2 best corners in the MEAC, and I don't even know if it was really a debate.
Not even close. Absolutely not even close. But I'm excited to listen, man. At the end of the day, it's all about what you want. It's all about what these kids want. It's all about, what you think is best for you at the end of the day. And if leaving Delaware State, he feels is his best option to go, chase his dreams to go to the NFL, by all means, do what you do. By all means, I'm always going to support kids, because if it was a coach, jump in the Power 5, they wouldn't have no issues. If it was a coach leaving the program to get a better job, they wouldn't have any issues. So, Esaias Guthrie, go get your money. All right, go get your money and your opportunity to go be great. All right, Blue, your week 1 recaps. Pick a few games that you're excited to talk about. We know you're the FCS guru, so it can be PWIs, it can be HBCUs. Hit us with it.
Man, I think we really we got to start with the obvious one, man. Listen, the 59-3. Come on, man. Come on. Listen, I went and checked the mail before this show, man. It didn't come today. Hopefully it comes before I leave for Memphis, man. But the death certificate for the 2022 season for FAMU is on the way. I don't know if I just put the wrong address, but listen, this was brutal to watch. I texted you, what was it, about second or third quarter? I was like, man, it just feels like this is getting ready to be. Yeah. I mean, it was not it was not the best performance to say the least by FAMU, but you got to give Jackson State credit. For me, the biggest thing, and I was talking about this with Eddie George and how I gave him credit for building his offense around Draylon Ellis. Last year with Hickbottom, they didn't have any RPOs, they didn't have any read options, anything like that. They built it in because that's Draylon Ellis's game. But for this offense, for Bartoloni, man, it's like they took everything Shador does well and just put it in the offense for him to excel at. So for me, I give Jackson State credit. They did a great job building this offense around Shador. And when you have 13 wide receivers, I mean, there's nothing you could do to stop it. And I thought Niles Gaddy looks like he improved from last season. Antonio Doyle was as advertised. We already know what Devontae Davis was. We both were on his bandwagon going into this game. Aubrey did his thing, got a defensive touchdown. And listen, Travis came as advertised. The fact that they didn't even have to really play nugget and were able to play lockdown defense in the back ends with Wiggins, really and truly completely, I would say he played out of his mind compared to what I thought he could. I mean, listen, I got to give Jackson State some credit. But for me, the other big game that really shocked me was North Carolina Central. That team came out and absolutely smacked around A&T. They were more physical. They looked like the faster team. They looked like the better coach team. And I got to give Trey Oliver credit. He put his money where his mouth was because he went to MEAC Media Day and spoke like this team was a championship team. And then they went out and played like a championship team. And I saw everything I wanted to from Davius Richard in terms of his development. He was dynamic on the ground, dynamic through the air. And you got to give that defense credit, Scotty. If you take away their quarterbacks, I think he had 50 yards rushing. Was the Zach kid? They held the running backs to all under like 20 or 30 yards. They played one hell of a game in the front seven. For Central. And listen, a lot of people, including both of us, thought A&T was going to win that game. And I think right now, I know South Carolina State played UCF. Right now, I think Central is the best team in the MEAC. And I don't even know if there's a conversation until South Carolina State proves me otherwise.
You know, and that was going to be my first game recap because of the simple fact of the matter is Davius Richards looked like he arrived. And when you watch a quarterback, he looked so ready. He looked so dialed in. It kind of reminded me of Shador in his process of what he looked like at FAMU. It looked like this game is not bigger than me. I was made for this game right here, and he showed up and showed out. I mean, the poise. I saw the poise back at Alcorn for the MEAC and SWAC Challenge last year. But when you're coming into this game, like you said, we both picked North Carolina because I just thought with their pedigree, picking on North Central as long as they have, you have mind control over Debo. You know what I'm saying? But North Central said, no, sir, we're coming to play. We're here. We're ready. And Davius Richards was the catalyst behind that. Didn't put his team in any trouble. Always try to keep his team above the chains and made big-time throws when needed, and players stepped up for him. Also, listen, man, I know this might be really random, but my week one recap has to start with two teams. One, Valley versus Tarleton State. If I'm listening to the coach's call put up by HBCU Sports, and Dancy says we played over 50 people in that game, and how not one of them was another quarterback. I don't understand it, Blue. You can't make it make sense to me. If you're happy you played 50 other people at other positions, and at no time did you think about switching out your quarterback, that is bad management of your football team. I don't care. He can get on here and talk about Easton played really well. To who? In whose eyes? That's bad, okay? And then at the end, listen, Clarence McKinley and his defensive coordinator went to the same school as Ryan Smith at FAMU. They all graduated from the same defensive coordinator school, and they shouldn't got their degree. They're that bad. If a team throws 3 passes, 2 of them are INTs and one's a defensive pass interference, I don't think you need to worry about your DBs playing 10 yards off. You need to press man at everybody in the box and stop the freaking run. I mean, when you watch stuff like that go down, you're just like, are you kidding me right now? Like, no adjustments, no anything, no nothing. And then on the opposite end, Clarence McKinley has the nerve to tell me that Andrew Body was pressing when he had 15 throws. This is the stuff that they allow to happen in the SWAC, man. Miss me with that. So those are my two. I just, bro, I'm serious. I just couldn't. And you text me like, Scotty, are you serious? Like, he didn't complete a pass? I'm like, no, bro, he did.
I thought it was ESPN. Like, you should have seen us in the press box when we saw the Southern score and we saw that, like, the SID for Alcorn. Me and him were each updating our ESPN app because we thought it was just bugging out. We were like, "There's no way Southern scored 86 and PV just beat Texas Southern, going 0 for 6 with 2 interceptions." And that PV game, though, let me tell you. And listen, Yard Talking, everyone got on me when I tweeted this out. Grambling looked atrocious. I don't care if it was Arkansas State. I don't care if it was a money game. Arkansas State should not be beating people like that. It especially the way they did it, because really and truly they kind of called the dogs off. They could have beat y'all by 70. I have so many questions about Grambling. I have so many questions about Texas Southern now. I have so many questions about UAPB, which that's not surprising. I mean, right now, PV looks like they are in the top 3 of that division. And I don't, yeah. And that is tough, especially with all the recruits you brought in and the play calling. I got so many questions about that division at every level, but I do want to bring up one game real quick. Stephen F. Austin, Alcorn State, man. If you're an Alcorn State fan, you should still be punching air right now. Listen, Scotty, they pretty much said, let's in the first half they took a 24-10 lead going into halftime. They come out in the second half, score 3 points. They shanked more punts than they scored points in the second half. I just want to remind people they handed that game. They wrapped it up, put a tag on it, put a card underneath it, everything, and just handed it to Stephen F. Austin. The fact that they won that game and Trey Self threw 3 touchdowns and Xavier Gibson did not catch a pass. If you would have told me, Scotty, before that game and said Xavier Gibson would have 0 catches, I said, okay, yeah, you probably didn't read this. You didn't read the box score correctly. No way. Or they get beat by 20. There's no Xavier Gibson was that offense, and they held them to 0 points and gave that game away. Man, they were rushing the football and could not be stopped. That Syracuse transfer, a top 5 running back in the SWAC, and I'll argue with anyone about it. He's that physical, and he runs. I mean, he runs like he runs like a defensive lineman almost, where he just is looking for contact and he's looking to hurt you when he has the ball in his hands. And if it wasn't for their punter being ineligible, you're looking at Alcorn 1-0 with a top 10 victory, and they're probably in the top 25 right now. So if I'm Alcorn, I would be upset. And I think you could tell if you watched the conference call, Fred McNair knew he let that game slip away. And you could tell in his voice and in his responses that he knows that team is better than Stephen F. Austin and that his team should be sitting at 1-0 now. And now you're staring 0-2 in the face with Tulane, and McNeese looked pretty damn good last week and gave Montana State a run in the first half until Montana State caught up with them. That team should not be sitting at 0-2 at the end of this week, given that they don't upset Tulane. But if I'm Alcorn, I am so pissed right now that I'll let that game get away, because as you know, with how competitive the SWAC is this year, coming into the season, you can't let games like that get away.
Absolutely. Yeah, but at the end of the day, like Maynard said,
we don't get paid for, yeah. Yep.
You don't get paid to win SWAC games. So, but I'll say this, Blue. I love Coach McNair's response to out-of-conference games. I absolutely loved it. He said, we schedule them regionally. We go out. We know we can compete. We're going to go out and compete. We're going to give our best effort. And that's what football is all about. That's absolutely what football is all about. Shout out to Coach McNair for the coaching that he does. Going back to your week 1, how do you feel? You know how I feel about Willie Simmons. How do you feel about Willie Simmons after the 59-3, after a whole year, and that's what he puts out on display? Do you feel he can win the big game? How are your feelings about Willie?
it's tough, and I think he took this loss really personally. I don't know if you watched the video I posted of his press conference of him in the car. You could tell he didn't want any part of that interview. You could tell. He was late, and he just he was just like he was just out of it, and you could tell that loss really bothered him. And he spoke about it on the coaches call too. And this is something that I talked about on my show yesterday. Where's the mindset of the locker room? Because to me, this is bigger than just winning the big game or just going out there and coach. You know how it is, Scotty. You've been in a locker room, and I'm sure you've been on teams that haven't been very good. You know what it's like in there. It's hard to get ready for practice. It's hard to motivate yourself to go into games. And if they don't play well against Albany State, I'm telling you right now, things are going to get very, very hard for them over the next few weeks. If they don't beat Albany State by double digits, I don't know if FAMU finishes top 3 in the division. I'm that worried about just the morale of the team. And everyone, I've had some people message me about playoffs and things like that. If you expect to get a bid after getting beat 59-3 week 1 and you're sitting at 0-2 right now, you better be wiping people out through the rest of the season. I mean, no close games. And you better hope pure chaos happens from that 20 to 35 range in the FCS rankings. I mean, you got to hope for pure chaos. But for me, he's got to prove he can win the big game. You're right. And I'm not going to say he can't. I'm just going to say right now, man, I question I question his strategy because the game plan for both the Southeastern Louisiana game and the Jackson State game just it didn't make sense. And what happened was what really happened was, I think when they got down 21-0, Scotty, you know how it is, they panicked again.
Yeah.
And when you just had Musa going back there, you stopped running the football, you stopped, doing what made you successful the week before, it just didn't work. And so for me, he's got to take a long look at himself and say, are the transfers I'm bringing in going to fix what is happening? What just happened? And I think right now, and I don't remember who said it. I heard this in one of the interviews or something I was listening to. Right now, it's looking like everyone talked about all the upgrades for the SWAC. Right now, it looks like Jackson State upgraded and everyone else got a bunch of transfers that are still trying to find their way and still trying to build that chemistry. And none of it clicked like it did at Jackson State this year. And I think me and you talked about it is every transfer isn't built the same.
Absolutely.
And I think what happened at Jackson State is a very, very rare point in a very, very rare case of everybody kind of clicking. Aubrey clicked, Nugget clicked. Last year, Antoine and James clicked. The offensive line clicked last week. Dallas Daniels comes in, clicks immediately. You've had all these players transfer in and just immediately somehow fit perfectly into the system. And FAMU and some of these other teams didn't have that. And so Willie Simmons is going to have to prove he can win the big game this year sometime, because the big game, really and truly, the only other big game you're going to get is the Bethune-Cookman game at the end of the year. And then if you make the playoffs, you got to win that game. And right now, looking at FAMU, they don't stand a chance against any team that's going to be in the first round of the playoffs unless they get lucky and play like a Pioneer League team.
Boy, oh man, you came in with the sledgehammer. Your stars from week 1. All right, I'm gonna go first because I know you probably got a list of them. My stars from listen. Sadly, I have to say, Trayvon Conley and all 3 of the running backs from PV. If you run the spread wing T and you go for 71 yards untouched and 3 running backs over 100 yards, like you're the stars for the week for me. You know what I'm saying? I usually do my baller awards. I haven't been able to do it, but those 3 guys, absolutely amazing. 100 yards from 3 different running backs. That's just, phenomenal achievement in itself. Listen, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you touch that the 59-3. I'm not really going to touch that. I got to give one to Quentin Williams from Hampton. Like, you have from Howard. You bounce back against Hampton. I think you went for 331, 3 touchdowns, something crazy like that. You know what I'm saying? You still lost the game, like I knew you would. But you bounced back. Antoine bounced back. I think he had 8 catches for 120, something like that. So that offense in general bouncing back. I still think they should run the ball. I still think they put too much pressure on Q Williams. But he showed up and showed out against Hampton and got the loss. took the L still. But those are my stars for week 1.
I mean, I got to give one to Johnny Buchanan. And I know no one knows who he plays for. I understand that. He plays for Delaware. And they knocked off Navy in one of the FBS wins. That boy had 23 total tackles.
Woo! At linebacker?
At linebacker. So, listen, Johnny Buchanan gets my Baller Award for defense. Listen, I don't care if it's a triple option. 23 total tackles is 23 total tackles. That is a lot. That is balling out, man. Also, Nate Lynn for William and Merriman had, from the defensive line spot, over 8 tackles, 2.5 for loss, multiple sacks in an FBS win over Charlotte this weekend. Devon Starling.
Oh, man.
The baller. Listen, people can say what they want. And I talked about this yesterday on my show, Scott. I don't know if you heard it. I'm so tired of people trying to give credit to their team for making plays, but then taking away from their opponents making plays and saying that it was mistakes by the other team that led to those plays. You can't be giving your players credit for making plays and then take credit away for other players. So if you gave your credits players for breaking tackles and things like that, then he gets credit too. Don't just say Eastern Washington can't tackle, because that's a pretty good team.
Hey, listen, them white boys at linebacker are no joke. Them boys be storming, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Them white boys be moving. Go ahead.
They got 2 all-conference guys on the D-line. Like, they have, like, legit players. But listen, 200 yards rushing, man, a touchdown, did some things through the air as well. But listen, to average 8 yards per carry week 1, when in the Eddie George press conference, he got his job taken this summer, Scotty. I don't know if you saw that. Eddie George said he wasn't doing what he needed to do off the field. He got demoted. And so the best thing you could do is go out there and ball out like you did, and especially in a game like that where you go out and you really perform. Also, in that same game, Gunnar Talkington deserves some credit. First ever start after sitting behind Eric Barrier for 3 seasons. You go out and toss 5 touchdowns and throw for over 300 yards and lead your team in rushing. I got to give him credit, man. He went out there and balled out, and those are my ballers. I think Shador is the unanimous baller. We don't have to mention it with, completing. I think he completed 87% of his passes for 300 yards and 5 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns. I mean, listen, that's impressive, and I don't care who it was against. That was impressive.
All right. Coming up, you already know what it is.
I said, go get that bag! Get that bag! There's groceries outside!
It's the Go Get That Bag. All right, that's what we're coming up with next. Go Get That Bag. Now, Blue, who are your Go Get the Bag nominees?
VJ Malo is the first one, man. Portland State defensive lineman. They play Washington this week. And listen, last week he performed really, really well against San Jose State. They almost pulled off the FBS upset. This is a guy who came from the JUCO ranks, man, went to Portland State, was an all-conference guy last year. This is his chance to prove that he has NFL talent against a Washington offensive line that I think has some holes. VJ, he's been on the show, man. I know he watches the show. He needs to have at least 3-4 tackles for loss this week, man. He needs to go get that bag this weekend, man. And listen, Michael Ayers, man, hey, that's soundbite, man. It gets me pumped, man. But listen, Michael Ayers too. Listen, he got the bag last week, Scotty. When you throw 4 touchdowns in your first start against Kennesaw State and lead Sanford to a top 10 victory, it's time. But we saw it. Listen, we know what Georgia is on the defensive side of the football, and we know what they did to Bo Nix. If Ayers can go out there and have a solid day, that would be great for him to put on there. Absolutely. If you can do it in Athens against that Georgia defense, it's there, man. Listen, Matthew Jackson gets another chance against the FBS program this week. They were 8 points away from knocking off Eastern Michigan last week. They get Bowling Green this week. He was the ASUN Defensive Player of the Year, the preseason Defensive Player of the Year again this year. It's time to go get some sacks, man. Listen, Matthew Jackson, I need at least 2 sacks from him this week. At least.
Hey, go get that back!
Earshot Davis, UCLA, man. We already know what it is. I don't even need to explain it. It's time. You played Miles last week. It's time to show you can do this on the Pac-12 level. And I think me and Scotty both believe he's talented enough to go get that bag this week.
Absolutely.
And Xavier Gibson, we're gonna have a heart-to-heart here. We're gonna have a heart-to-heart here, because outside of KJ Kinsler, there wasn't no one that can hold him out there. And to be held to 0 catches last week, I need you to redeem yourself. You can't be a consensus All-American. You can't be the #1 receiver in FCS and get held to 0 catches against Alcorn. I'm sorry. No disrespect to Alcorn. That's ridiculous. They get a FBS program this weekend. Xavier Gibson showed out against Texas Tech and almost led that team to an upset. I need more. And then listen, Gunnar Talkington, his first year starting. This guy only has, I think, 1 or 2 years of eligibility left. We saw what Oregon looked like last week. That defense can be had. Gunnar Talkington, in my opinion, man, if he goes out there and balls out against Oregon, people are talking about him as a potential guy who could be at the top of the FCS and potentially could be a guy to go in the late rounds of the NFL draft. So Gunnar Talkington's got a lot to prove this weekend against Oregon in Autzen Stadium.
Oh, man.
I said, go get that bag.
Go get that bag. All right. I love it. I love it. My go get that bag. First and foremost, J.J. Davis, Norfolk State going against James Madison. Listen, you had a horrible game against Marshall. The O-line couldn't block for nothing. I need you to bounce back. You're supposed to be the MEAC player of the year. I need you to.
I said, go get that bag.
All right. Jeremiah Hickson, UCLA. Listen, as well as Demetrius Davis from UCLA, I don't know if he's going to be playing. He had an ankle injury early in the Miles game, so we'll see. Demetrius Davis, you were supposed to be at Auburn, so this is nothing new. Show him why you need to be on this Power 5 level. And Jeremiah Hickson, you need to show up and show out and take the top off some of this defense, get some big bombs, get some catches. I say, if you can get about 7 for 105 or 7 for 95 in the tub, that is a damn good game. Listen, I love this guy. Me and Blue both. Zy Alexander, Southeast Louisiana, Florida Atlantic. Listen, top DB out of the Southland FCS. Listen, if you can go in here, get a pick, get some pass breakups, you're going to solidify yourself as one of the top FCS DBs in the nation. So you can.
I said, go get that bag.
All right, Quinn Williams, Brokenberg, and Antoine, all from the UCF game. Listen, this is I put all three because they're the highlights of the team. But Q-Dub and Antoine got to show up if they listen, especially for Q. All right, you can do if you do what you did against Hampton. You're not doing that against South Florida, but if you can do 250, 20 of 31, 250, a couple touchdowns, that's decent. Antoine gets you about 5 or 7 catches. If you get over 100 yards in the tub, that's a great game. And listen, I need my boy, Andrew Buddy. I need him to bounce back. I need him to have a Rice type of game against North Texas. I need 300. I need 100 on the ground. I need next level production to bounce back. Win or lose, I need him to go show his stuff. And Jordan Lewis, Trey Lang, LSU. There's no Dumas. He has a messed up hamstring, I believe. That's what I've been hearing. Jordan Lewis, you were the FCS Defensive Player of the Year. Act like you know it. Trey Lang, I call him the I'm calling him the SWAC TJ Watt. You got to show up and show out against LSU. Have some hurries, have some pressures, have some tackle for losses, and I think you can do some big things. That is me and Blues.
I said, go get that bag. Get that bag. This groceries outside.
Come on. Go get that bag. Absolutely. Now, let's get into these week 2 matchups, Blue. All right. Go. We got. We got some week 2 matchups. We got A&T going to Fargo. Going to Fargo, North Dakota. All right. You got all.
Oh, it's gonna be such a bad game.
Is it not a week 2 matchup?
I know it is. It is. Listen, I give Alcorn a better chance of beating Tulane.
Oh man, listen. You got some PV against Abilene Christian, Delaware versus Delaware State, and Grambling against Northwestern. In your opinion, Blue, are there any must-win games on this week, and then some of the matchups you're looking forward to as well?
Man, the bad part is North Carolina A&T is in a must-win matchup that they can't win. It is the worst situation to be in, man, because you got beat by a team that everybody thought you had, and it just wasn't there, man. But Oh, if I had to pick a must-win matchup for the weekend, man, I'm just scrolling through and make sure I don't miss any. Because Valley's in the same spot too, but I don't give them a great chance against Austin P
Yeah.
either. Oh man, it's tough. This is brutal. A must-win game is Grambling. Let's just keep it there.
I was
If
about to.
Gr-
Yeah.
if Grambling doesn't beat Northwestern State, they do not finish above fourth in the division, and there's no chance in the world. And Jackson State might have to have a running clock next week if they go and lose to Northwestern State.
Mm.
I'm just gonna be honest, because Jackson State would beat Northwestern State by 70. I'm being so honest. I'm just trying to be as honest as I can. That is a must-win game. If Grambling goes 0-2, you are guaranteed to go 0-3 the next week.
Not a question. Not
a question. Listen, I might not even do a preview. If they lose to Northwestern State, I might not even preview that game next week. There's no point. It is going to be a demolishment if they don't beat Northwestern State. And listen, I love my guy Shamar Bartholomew at the defensive back spot, but that Northwestern State, just to give you a perspective, Scott, he got beat by Montana 47-0 last week when Montana called off the dogs. Yeah. And Lucas Johnson, first start at Montana, throws 4 touchdowns and has over 300 yards of total offense in his first start. Yes. And on top of that, I want to give a shout out to my guy, Justin Ford, man. Y'all know how I feel about him. Best DB in college football. Scotty scored another defensive touchdown last week. That's 11 in the last 13 games. He's has a defensive touchdown. Oh boy, that he is different. He is different, man. Justin Ford is that guy. But if I had to pick another must-win game, it's PV. Listen, I know they won last week. But man, Abilene Christian is a winnable game. And if you're really looking to prove yourself as a contender, I need you to beat Abilene Christian, because I think now looking back, Texas Southern was a little bit overrated. I think we can all agree to that. And if you lose to Abilene Christian, okay, maybe Scotty don't agree with that. I'm gonna say that Texas Southern was vastly overrated. You got to beat Abilene Christian. So as much as they won last week, I say PV and Grambling are my 2 must wins, because everyone else kind of has some leeway or plays FBS schools and or plays North Dakota State and they don't have a chance to win those games.
I think, sadly, FAMU Albany State is a must win. Absolutely. And it shouldn't come down to this. I shouldn't even have to say this, because you should expect him to beat Albany State. But I've met the quarterback at Albany State. I've seen him play. He is dynamic. Now, I'm not saying, listen, Isaiah Land can talk all, y'all can talk all this FCS Defensive Player of the Year. I've been saying it. I don't believe in it. All right. And if Ryan Smith comes out with that same basic ass defense, I don't have a problem with Albany. I can say right now that I believe in Albany State's offense and their quarterback, that they'll be prepared for that. So it is a must win for FAMU. My other must wins is definitely PV, because listen, if this is the style of offense you're going to continue to run and you believe that this is going to take you far, you got to win this game. You got to win this game. If you think the spread wing T is going to take you far in the SWAC, you have to win this game. And I want to see how that looks going forward. I want to see what Albany Christian does against PV to counteract that spread wing T and see where they go from there. And last but not least, listen, man, Northwestern State had a winning record. I don't know how long. Like, bro, stop playing with me. Like, if Grambling doesn't beat this team by at least 2 touchdowns, I'm going to be sadly looking at Hugh Jackson like, why did you come to Grambling? Why did you come to Grambling? What are you doing? Him, Cedric Thornton, John Simon, all them Bama's. I got to look at them a little sideways, because I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because these are the games we brought you here for, to be that the coaching takes us over the top. We're supposed to have the talent. Coaching needs to take us over the top. And the same issue, and this is what I said this when Hugh Jackson came. I said, from my sources at Tennessee State, Eddie George took the play calling away from Hugh Jackson early in that season because they weren't scoring points. You bring him over to Grambling, they're still not scoring points. At the end of the day, it's a common denominator of not scoring points. Okay,
Lauren, you're so out of pocket. You're so out of pocket for this.
So it is what it is.
Oh man,
And I 100% agree. They should have kept that boy Brown. I would have took all the slack to keep Browns at this point in time. All right, one of our game of the weeks. Man, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this game of how good it could be. South Carolina State, Bethune-Cookman. I don't know if you're doing a preview for this, Blue. If you are, you can do your score later. Oh, you're not? Cool. South Carolina State, Bethune-Cookman. It's on you. Talk about the game.
Man, this game, okay, it has upset potential. I'll say that. Major upset potential. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday. If South Carolina State loses this game, Central's running through the MEAC. Based on what I saw. Listen, because everyone I've talked to said, okay, man, listen, it was just UCF, man. Wait till we get in the FCS level and we're going to turn it on. Well, you better come out here and prove that this is not just a new year, because this is the time for Corey Fields, the running back, that Shaq Davis, all of them, to prove that they are legit again. And so Bethune-Cookman, when I look at them, listen, I don't know if you saw the Terry Sims segment of the coach's call. I thought they performed well last week, and he came out there and just acted like they played like trash.
Man,
he was pissed.
He was like, "Oh, we took it to the woodshed." I was like, "You scored on your first drive. Like, what are you talking
right
about?"
Down the field. Jalen Jones was like 4 for 5, and it drove him straight down the field.
Sean Burr looked good against that Miami. I'm like, number 2, the receiver look. I'm like, yo, what? I'm like, what game was he watching?
And listen, I want to say this. That is the mindset of a coach that I want to play for. You can say what you want about Terry Sims and his record. I'd rather play for a coach that wants to win and holds me accountable than a guy that's like, bro, we just go in there to collect a check. Don't worry about it.
Come on, Blue.
So shout out to Terry Sims for that, man. But listen, Jalen Jones looked good last week. I know it was against Miami, and that's cool. Kamari Everett, though, this you got to step back up. And he called himself out on on his Instagram. He had one catch for like -3 yards or something like that.
Bro.
He called himself out on his Instagram. And look, he's got to come out here and perform. He's got to come out here and perform in a big way. And also, I want to see what Corey Reed does as well. And then that secondary is also got to step up. And so I'm leaning South Carolina State here in a close one, Scotty, just because of the unknowns in the front 7 of the Bethune-Cookman defense. And I told myself, I said on my show yesterday, I told myself after what happened with the Celebration Bowl, never bet against Buddy Pugh. I learned my lesson once, but I do think Bethune-Cookman keeps it close, though. I got South Carolina State by about 3 to 7. So I would say like 23-20, 24-20, something like that.
Man, listen, I watched that Miami game, and shout out to my boy Kenny. He told me I should have went there, and I was like, hell no, I'm not about to waste my time. And they actually, I put 70 up, but it was a good game. My factor is Corey Fields, and I don't know what Corey Fields I'm going to get, just like you didn't know what Corey Fields you were going to get in the Celebration Bowl. You got the Corey Fields in the first half, and then you got the Corey Fields in the second half. And Corey Fields looked like the first half of the Celebration Bowl against UCF. And there were plays to be made that Corey Fields just did not make with Shaq and that offense. I like what Jalen Jones looked like. I like what he looked like against that competition. I like that he looked like he was ready for the game. If Terry didn't keep switching him out, I think he could have found a rhythm to where they would have put up more points. I love number 2. I love Sean Bird, Kamari Everett. He looked slow. I don't know what it was. He just looked slow. He didn't look like Kamari Everett of last year. He looked like he kind of lost a step to me. But I think this is a game where Bethune-Cookman comes back and shows that why they're the dark horse for me and the MEAC. And I kept saying it. I said they have a lot of talent on that team. Corey Reed, number 2, Quayshawn Bird, Kamari Everett, Terry Sims knows defense. I'm going with Bethune-Cookman in a close one.
Ooh.
I'm going to go a 6-point lead. I'm going to go 17-23 Bethune-Cookman. I'm going to go. I know I've been harsh on Jalen Jones. I've been probably the hardest person on YouTube on Jalen Jones. But they have a lot of talent. And I agree with you. I don't bet against Buddy Pugh. I love Jablonski. I love BJ Davis. I just think that Jalen Jones is the key factor to this game. And I trust Jalen Jones more than I trust Corey Fields.
Now, let me ask you, you got them winning. So let me just give you the rundown of this South Carolina State schedule. So they're sitting at 0-1, right? They lose to Bethune, according to US, 0-2. Their next 3 games are at A&T, at South Carolina, then FAMU.
Jesus.
Where are they sitting? Where are they sitting after those? After the first 5 games?
They losing to South Carolina, so that's what 0-3.
That's 0-3 at least.
I think they can catch North Carolina A&T slipping. I think North Carolina A&T is going to be, listen, they just get mollywopped by North Dakota State. They just lost to North Central. Sam Washington's on the hot seat. I think Buddy Pugh comes in there. Because remember, these aren't conference losses. So he's still good. These aren't conference losses, so he's still good. I think he rights the ship and he gets that win against North Carolina A&T. And then you said, what's the last one?
FAMU.
Where is it at?
It's in Orangeburg.
Oh, it's South Carolina State.
You got so with that pick, that means you got South Carolina State going 2-3. That means you got A&T going 0-4 to start the season.
I think this is Sam Washington's last one. I don't, because losing to your little brother, getting mollywopped by North Dakota State, coming off that bad of a loss, coming into
they played Duke. In between.
Just keep it coming, Blue. Just keep it coming. You know what I'm saying? It's looking like one of those years, and then next thing you know, Connell Maynard's going to be in discussion for the job.
Dude, I'm looking at A&T's schedule. That they easily could be 0-5. Because they go to North Dakota State this week. They go to Duke in week 3. Week 4, they got South Carolina State. In week 5, listen, Bryant is no joke.
A loss.
That because they just Bryant just took who was it? It was either FAU or FIU to overtime and almost beat them.
Yeah.
And this week they got a big game against another Rhode Island this week. And then on top of that still doesn't include the Campbell game, the Norfolk game, or the Gardner Webb and Charleston Southern game on that schedule.
I mean, what are we talking about right now? I'm not winless. I wouldn't call them winless, but it can get there. If you start going, listen, man, you already know how misery loves company and how the snowball effect takes in sports. If you start going down that path and you just start losses just start stacking up, team starts giving up because they don't feel like they have any chance or they're not playing for anything, it can get ugly really fast. Really, really, really fast.
That's okay. So because I know, listen, we know how bad A&M look. We know Valley's sitting at 0-1 too. FAMU sitting at 0-2. We'll see what happens this weekend. Bethune could make a run to that number 2 spot in this division.
Absolutely. And the game to me is Alabama State and Bethune. That right there, depending, I don't know if they play each other this year. They should, because they have to play all East opponents. Is going to be the number 2 spot. And I think if you add Bethune, I don't know if Bethune plays FAM, it should be FAM. Bethune and FAM and Bethune and Alabama State, those games are going to be pivotal in those matchups.
So Bethune, Bethune lost to Miami last week. They got South Carolina State. They get a bye week in week 3. I don't know how the hell that happened, but that's horrible. Then they play Grambling at home. I think they can beat Grambling personally. They go at Alabama A&M, at Tennessee State back-to-back is going to be tough.
That's going to be tough. And that Tennessee State game could be where that could be, listen, they go into Tennessee. Okay, let's look at this full spectrum, right? So let me bring you back up. Let's look at this full spectrum, right? They go up to Tennessee State, they play good, they play tough, they play hard. Jackson State comes in, they win or lose, whatever. That Bethune-Cookman and Jackson State matchup, that could literally be for first place.
Yeah. Yeah, because listen to this 3-game stretch, man. They play at Alabama A&M, at Tennessee State, and the next week is that Jackson State game.
So you could
play back-to-back.
So you could literally be walking into a game where for first place, because A&M, I don't think A&M is going to be what we thought they were. So I think they're going to be at the bottom of I think Bethune that's a winnable game for Bethune. You come in, you play Tennessee State hard. You know, it's a close game, whatever, however you want to see it. You win, you lose, whatever. But that Bethune and Jackson State game could be walking into first place. That could be for first place.
They're cross-division games, so because they play all this, like each division plays each other at least once a year, and of course the Florida Classic's played every year, regardless of where they're going to be. Their cross-division games, so from the West are Grambling, PV, and Alcorn, but they get PV and Alcorn on the road. Grambling comes to Bethune.
I think the Alcorn game is a tough one. I think the game. I think Bethune can win that. I really do. I think Bethune.
And Alabama State's their homecoming.
That's gonna be a damn good game. I mean, Bethune. It's funny now. Bethune-Cookman, as they grow into the season, their schedule looks more and more impactful as it goes along because of the matchups and where that could place in. Because you beat Alabama A&M, you lose to Tennessee State, you're still playing for first with Jackson State if Jackson State don't slip up until that time. So that's a first place divisional matchup. So I mean, this could get really crazy. And I think isn't Jackson State playing at Bethune?
It's Jacksonville. It's in Jacksonville.
You know what I'm saying? So now if I'm Bethune-Cookman, now I'm upset that that's an away game and I could have had it at home for first place.
There's a lot on the line this weekend, to say the least.
It is. I mean, this season could go really weird, really quick.
So let me ask you this, because I got asked this yesterday on my show. So if A&T fires Washington, everyone's talking about Maynard being the guy. Kano coming from A&M, going back to A&T. With how bad he looked week 1, is that still the right choice? Because a lot of A&T fans I've talked to said they don't want Maynard to come back. They want them to go get an outsider who has FCS playoff experience to make a run through the CAA.
I think that's what you have to go do. Listen, I'm not even going to lie to you. That statement he made, I don't give a damn what school I was coaching at. He's out. For me, he's out. I don't give a damn what you're talking about. Conor Maynard could not coach anywhere. If I was an AD and I heard that statement, I don't want you nowhere near my program. No lie. So you can kick it at A&M and you can win SWAC games all you want, but for me, nah, I'm good. I'm good on that.
That's how I feel. You got to get someone that knows how to win in the FCS playoffs and how to win in a conference like the CAA, because man, the competition is not going to be, the same as it was in the MEAC or the Big South. Man, you were going to have to beat the Delawares, the William and Marys, the Campbells coming in. Man, Campbell is going to be a problem in that conference. Yeah, the Monmouths in that conference. So for me, man, they got to get someone who is a proven winner at the highest level. And I don't as much as I love Maynard, I don't think that's him. And really and truly I want to see how Alabama A&M performs this weekend, because if they go out there and get drubbed 60-0, 59-3 again, I don't know how I feel about the projection of that team right now.
And I have to be honest, I actually love Cotton. Like you said, I love Cotton Maynard as a person. He's dope. Like, as a person, he's funny, he's cool, he's relatable, and that's why people would play for him. But me as an AD, I couldn't hire you because of your mindset. Like, that really bothered me. And if anybody doesn't know what he said he doesn't get paid to win out of conference games. He gets paid to win SWAC games. That mindset for me just doesn't work, because you're a football coach. You get paid to win football games. When you step in between those lines, FBS, FCS, you're paid to win the game. Now, the likelihood of you winning an FBS game, we all understand the odds. But FCS? Oh, nah.
Hang on. Last week, the CAA had 2 teams win FBS games in that conference. They were the only 2 of the season. Both came from the CAA, and William and Mary beat Charlotte by almost 20.
It's a mindset. At the end of the day, it's a mindset. All right, we're going to the game of the week. If you haven't checked out my man Blue's Breakdown, you're bugging. All right, you know he's the best with the graphics. Talk to him, Blue.
Hey man, this is a big one. We know what Jackson State did last year, man. I put this one up just for people who don't know, much going on. But looking a little bit ahead, man. My keys to the game personally for Jackson State is you got to let the offense run through Shedeur. And they're going to. That's the only thing all year. Put the ball in Shedeur's hands and let him do it, man. You built the offense around him. Everyone says he's the best quarterback in the country. Run it through him. And so that's the key. The offensive thing is simple. Just do what you do. Now the defense, it stopped the run, but I really wanted to make a key point of gap and tackling discipline is going to be huge this weekend, because we saw with the explosiveness and with some of the athletes that Tennessee State has, if you make a mistake and leave a gap uncovered, Devon Starling's taking it to the house. Is going to be 6 points on the board.
Let's not act like Rosh can't take it to the house as well. Oh, yeah.
And same for Ellis.
Yeah.
Let Ellis run a read option and Aubrey Miller take a bag angle at him. He's gone. And, for me, the biggest thing, too, is this was the biggest. And Niles Gaddy did a great job last week. But last year, my biggest critique of Niles Gaddy wasn't anything about his pass rushing. It was his aggressiveness. Because he would get too far up the field and the offensive tackle would just strong arm him and there'd be a cutback lane. And if you leave that for Devon Starling, he's taking it for a big gain. And also that wide receiver, number 24, I'm blanking on his name right now. They ran a screen pass to him in last week against Eastern Washington. Yeah. And he got kind of slung and he stayed on his feet and took it to the house. And they got so many guys like that, because that doesn't even consider Zaire Thornton, who's an all-conference wide receiver, Holloman, who's a 4-star Georgia transfer. They have a lot of talent on offense. This narrative that some people are trying to run with that Tennessee State ain't got athletes is the most uneducated, unfilmed watching people I've ever met, because they don't know a damn thing about what they're talking about. If you hear a channel say Tennessee State doesn't have speed or athletes, they don't watch a lick of film and don't know a single thing about football. So I'm so tired of that narrative, man. That had me so heated yesterday. They have athletes and they have speed. That doesn't mean they might not win this weekend. That's fine, but they have athletes and they have speed. Listen, I talked to a Jackson State player's parent on the defensive side of the ball, who is one of the top players on Jackson State's defense, and he said, man, he called me because he saw the episode I'm talking about and said the guys are just wearing their blue and white glasses. He was like, they ain't got no idea what they're talking about. He was like, Devon Starling is going to be one of the fastest guys on the field. And so we'll leave it at that. But for Tennessee State, it's easy on offense, man. You have to start fast. If you let Jackson State get up 7-0, 14-0, it's over. You have to do what you did last week. They put up 19 points in the first quarter, Scotty. And that was the key for them to stay in. That was the key for them staying in the game. And they also have to establish their pace. You know what it is. What happened with FAMU is they tried to play Jackson State's game. They said, we see what Shedeur's doing. Yeah. So we're going to put the ball in Moose's hands and hopefully he can beat Shedeur. Tennessee State's not doing that. I know for a fact they are running an RPO read option game this weekend. Establish your pace. Every single drive should it take at least 3 to 6 to 7 minutes off the clock. Keep your defense on the sideline and make sure number 2, who is the best player on that Jackson State offense, is sitting on the bench talking to the pregame show. That is your that is your best option this weekend to even make this a close game. Is you have to have consistent offensive drives. With FAMU, the worst thing that happened is they had a quick 3 and out, and then Shedeur Sanders walked Jackson State down the field 12 plays, and FAMU didn't have an answer. It was We're going to run the ball. Shador's going to throw an out route. Shador's going to throw a curl route. Shador's going to hit this. And that was all it was. And he went like 8 for 8 on that first drive, and the complete air was taken out of that stadium. Scotty, you were there. It didn't feel the same after that. And then you know what happened? They walked back on the field. That quick 3 and out. That drive took like 35 seconds off the clock. And then you know what happened? Number 2 went back out there and walked them right back down the field. You cannot have that happen this weekend. And the other key is you have to win the turnover battle. Tennessee State doesn't have a shot in hell in winning this game if they have more turnovers than Jackson State. You are going to have to force turnovers, and Draylon Ellis is going to have to take care of the ball. Listen, we know what type of athlete he is, but Scotty, he has some really bad turnovers last week, just not hanging on to the ball. Because if you're running with the ball in your palm like this, it's not tuck that ball in and get down. Do not risk a bad turnover, and make sure on those jet sweeps, you put it in the wide receiver's gut and he has the ball before you let go. It's small things like that. So for me, turnover battle, if Tennessee State turns the ball over once and Jackson State doesn't, it's over. Jackson State runs away with this one.
I won't say it's over. I think all turnovers aren't made equally. How depending on, because you can throw a bad, like, okay, good example, right? Eastern Washington, that pick, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the game, that's a bad pick. Well, if I did it in the first quarter and that's pretty much a punt. You know what I'm saying? All turnovers aren't made equally, but don't give Jackson State more opportunities to get on the field.
Exactly.
I'll give you that. My keys to the game with this one, and I'm going to start with Tennessee State, is you got to control the clock. You got to control the clock. You have to win the time of possession in this game. It like you said, long drives, 3-4 yards. It's okay. It's okay to slow and methodically move the ball down the field. You don't always have to hit the big play. It's okay to work the ball nice and easily. Draylon Ellis has to know, listen, I need north and south. This is not an east and west game that you want to play with Jackson State. They're too fast pursuit-wise to tip-tap back in the backfield trying to dance north and south, get yards, get it going early, right? I totally agree with you. You want to score fast. You want to put Jackson State on a response, right? You want 7-0, 3-0. You want to put them on till they have to respond to you scoring. You definitely want that to happen. Defensively, listen, you've seen this scheme with Eastern Washington. You tackled really well in the first half. I mean, you were solid. You rallied to the ball. It has to be that to another level with Jackson State. They have guys that can make you miss and take it to the crib. You got to stay disciplined. And listen, the defensive coordinator has to give multiple looks. Please, for God's sakes, don't take the Smith route, okay? Please, Lord, don't take the Smith route. For Jackson State, once again, it starts with 2, it ends with 2. He needs to stay upright. He needs to stay in. He needs to have a comfortable pocket, and he needs to work the field like he did against FAMU. You want to continue to be balanced. Listen, I can't stress this enough. Even though Shador threw it 33 times, it never felt like he threw it 33 times. They still continue with draws, runs, up the. You got to keep the defense honest, and so they just don't sit back, pin their ears back, and go get Shador and move that offense. And defense, listen, just do what you do. Tackle and make plays. Pursuit, make plays, and do what you do. Back to Tennessee State real quick. You can't let Shador scrambles beat you. God, it's those plays are so backbreaking. You got to stop the Shador 4, 5, 7, 10, 15-yard scramble runs because they come at the most inopportune times. 2nd and 12, he gets a 7 or 8-yard scramble. 3rd and 9, he gets a 9-yard first down. You can't let those happen. I'm excited, though. I'm excited, but those are my keys to the game.
It's going to be a good one, but you're right about Shador. But listen, man, I did a QB spotlight because I think the QB battle is going to be amazing this weekend. And I said this, I know you don't agree, but that's fine. I mean, Andrew Body, probably top 3 quarterback he faces, but Draylon Ellis and Hajj Malik Williams are the 2 best quarterbacks Jackson State will see all year. And it's not close. And people, I guess, got me and you confused yesterday. They were like, you said Musa was the best quarterback in the SWAC. I was like, When did anyone say that? Because I sure didn't say it, but anyway. But for me, man, listen, we see Shador's stats up there. 87.9% completion percentage. That is ridiculous. That's 7 on 7 like stats.
That's what it looked like out there. I ain't even gonna lie to you. That's exactly what it looked like.
And he completed a pass to 12 different receivers, man. If you let him have that sort of time in the pocket, and he could just say, "Oh man, I see Dallas Daniels over there in the corner, but also Shane Hooks is over there. Who do I want to throw to?" And he's just playing a guessing. Like, you can't let him sit back in the pocket and do that, man. And for me, the other thing is, I think Tennessee State. Listen, I just got word. That's what I was just texting. Terrell Allen, the all-conference Austin Peay transfer. We'll talk about him in a second. He is fully healthy and will be back this week. He only played 8 snaps last week. He's coming back, and that's a guy. I'll show you his stats in a minute. So listen, as much as Jackson State didn't have the whole team travel last week, I heard it was about 15 players for Tennessee State that weren't there last week too. So we're gonna, so we're gonna see some people coming back. But for Draylon last week, man, I heard this narrative on as I watch everyone's previews. Some people were saying, "Oh man, he didn't throw the ball. He didn't throw the ball well. He completed 63% of his passes for 257 and 2 passing touchdowns." That's pretty good for your first ever start against a pretty good defense.
And your run first team.
Yeah.
And your guy went for $200 bills. Like your run first team. So 400 yards of total offense. That's not a bad first outing. Like
and Draylon accounted for over 300 total yards last week.
And what he had like a 60-yard touchdown run, 50-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think people are so used to the Shador style of offense because that's all they see. But you can't blame him being dynamic as a problem because he can't. You get what I'm saying? Like he goes for 250 and runs for 70. That's 320 yards. Like, what are we talking about? Like, that's what happens when you have a guy that's that dynamic. And I didn't want to cut you off on your spotlight, but the thing for me is turnovers with Ellis, making the right read and not forcing the ball. That is the only thing I'm focused on because it was a throw, and I know you probably remember he was rolling right, and I mean he threw it on the dot, and the DB was right on the receiver. That's a tough throw, great catch, but it's like, do I want you to continually keep making those type of throws? I don't know, but go ahead, bro.
The one thing though I will say, and listen, I've talked to Draylon's dad, and I've talked to Draylon. The number one thing I got to see this week is his deep ball. He only hit one. Everything was in the intermediate to underneath, which is good because Scotty, we talked off camera about when he transferred. I said at Austin Peay, he was great with the deep ball, but he was very inconsistent underneath and in the intermediate. He ate up Eastern Washington there, but last week he only threw 7 passes 20 plus yards down the field, only completed one of them and had a pick, which was that last pick in the 4th quarter. So he has to be more efficient down the field. But if I had to pick 3 keys for Jalen Ellis, Scotty, it would be these 3: efficiency, rushing threat, and limit turnovers. Those are the 3 keys. If he can not have turnovers, if he can be a threat with his legs, I'm talking 50 to 85 yards rushing, and he can be efficient anywhere between 60 and 65% completion percentage. Perfect game for Jalen Ellis, in my opinion, regardless if he wins or loses. So, in my opinion, man, I see the comments. Listen, this is a bullshit comment. You didn't watch the game if you say this. Anyway, Draylon Ellis to me is the X factor, man, because we know they're a run first team, but he was the cause of multiple turnovers last week. And if he's efficient and can limit those turnovers, I personally think Draylon Ellis has a chance to make this thing competitive, because I think the number one thing people did with Musa is, we can agree, even though he played well against UNC, he wasn't proven coming into the season. We didn't know what Musa was going to be. Draylon Ellis is a conference offensive player of the year. Draylon Ellis was an FCS freshman and sophomore All-American. Draylon Ellis has been proven at the FCS level and did it in the rain too, Scotty. It was pouring at Eastern Washington at times. So I'm giving Draylon Ellis a lot of credit, man. He's proven, and I'm ready to see them against this great Jackson State defense, which I think is a top 5 defense in the FCS.
Listen, Shador Sanders, man, my keys for Shador is, don't just continue to take what the defense gives you. Don't force it. And that, I think that was the issue last year, is that they were always looking for the big play. If it was with Malachi Wideman, if it was Robert Lanier, you know what I'm saying? They were always looking for the big play. Now I feel as though Shador is just letting the game come to him. Okay, you want to play back? I'll hit you up. You want to play up? I'll hit you over the top. I think that's where you see the maturity of Shador being able to just take what the defense gives you and then move the ball, matriculate it nice and easily. So that would be my one key for Shador is don't force it. Let the game come to you and continue to lead. Now, ball security in the rain, that is huge in this aspect because Jackson State, I don't even remember them playing a really crazy weather game. I think the only game last year that they played in inclement weather was the FAMU game, and it stopped. If I'm not mistaken, so I don't think Jackson State has been in a lot of inclement weather games. So this will be a new form to see. I would like to see what Jackson State looks like in an inclement weather game, outside in elements and things like that. I mean, they do have an open stadium, but you just don't really. I've never seen them play in inclement weather, so we'll see how that goes. But I just say, like with Shador, let the game come to him, keep doing what he's been doing, and just be a leader.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. Man, all you need Shador to do is be Shador.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's the end of the day.
And for Jackson State, I know you probably have different ones, but since we did a QB spotlight, man, Dallas Daniels and Aubrey are my two players to watch.
Dog, I love Dallas. If I could get a jersey of somebody, it would be Nugget in Dallas.
Man, listen, Dallas, in my opinion, is my favorite wide receiver on Jackson State. I think he is exactly what they were missing coming into the year now that Keith Corbin left. He can be that guy.
Absolutely.
He can be that guy. And my question for him is, can he establish himself as the number one target for Shador? It's a deep room. Can he do enough this week to really say, okay, because you saw it last year, Scotty. He was Warren Newman, Josh Lanier, like Shador was spreading the ball around early in the season. By about game 4, 5, 6, he said Keith Corbin was my guy from the 20 to the 20, and then I got Malachi in the red zone. I need Dallas to prove that he can be his guy from the 20 to the 20.
I think what makes Jackson State dangerous is the fact that Shador can go 9 deep. I think that's what makes them so dangerous. And I wouldn't even tell them if I was, you want to try, like if I'm a receiver, right? And I'm Dallas Daniels, I can play the X, I can play the Z, I can play the Y. I don't feel like anybody can cover me. I'm coming from Western Kentucky. I've been an all-conference player. I've however you want it, I can do it. But I think what makes Jackson State dynamic is the fact that you can't key in on one particular person. And I think if Shador, I would tell Shador if I was Bart Butler, I was like, listen, if you get in a tight spot and you need to trust somebody in circumstances, then go to Dallas. But don't force feed it. You know what I'm saying? Only in situations it's 3rd and 2, it's 3rd and 3. If you trust Dallas, that's the time you want to go to Dallas. But everything else, let it fly. Whoever's open, hit them. If you're open, I'm gonna hit you. And I think that should be the mindset of the Jackson State offense going forward.
And for Aubrey, I think we both agree. The number one criticism that people hear about Aubrey is his ability to play in space. And I talked to some Jackson State people. If I'm Tennessee State, I'm saying, listen, Devon Starling, you're going to be a little bit of a wide receiver this week, and we're going to make sure 45 has to cover you in open field because he can't do it.
I think that's where you got to go with it. But go ahead, Blue. I'm sorry.
I must say that's a matchup nightmare. I'm sorry. And I don't think they have a linebacker that can hang with them in the open field. And the other reason he's the guy to watch is last week he had a good week. But if you need to go talk to Devontae Davis, you got to go talk to Katron Evans and say, listen, they're going to run the football. I don't need y'all to be James Houston. I need you to take up space, take up blockers, and let Aubrey go get Devon Starling in the backfield. I don't need my defensive tackles to do anything other than what defensive tackles are supposed to do, and that is take up space and make sure that those A gaps and B gaps stay closed. That's it. And then you flow everything back into Aubrey and the linebackers, Niles Gaddy and Doyle on the end. Do not try to be a superstar because we know what happens when you get upfield, and if you miss a tackle, we just talked about what would happen in that case. And Aubrey Miller is going to be the number one key, in my opinion, to shut down the rushing attack of Tennessee State. Man, this should be a game. I said on my show, Aubrey Miller should have 8 to 15 tackles this weekend, minimum.
Let me ask you this, Blue. If because I saw watching the game, I saw a lot of 3-3-5 from Jackson State in defensively. If I was Tennessee, okay, I'm gonna give it two sides. would you go to a 4-down lineman style if you're Jackson State? Do you go 4-down lineman against this game to make sure you get that gap control? And if you're Tennessee State, do you do more power double team power blocking schemes to get to the second level if they go 3-3-5?
I think a 4-2-5 would be the perfect defense for Jackson State this weekend. For me, and me and G from Draft HBC, he's a defensive line coach, he's a defensive line guy. We both hate 3-3-5. I need 4 defensive linemen on the field at all times, unless it's like a passing down and you got a bona fide pass rusher. I think a 3-3-5, unless you walk some guys down into the box, I think Tennessee State eats that up. Really and truly, because as an offensive lineman, running a 3-3-5, if your linebackers aren't on their A game, is the easiest blocking assignment of all time, because all you're going to do is double and work up to the second level. Putting 4 down linemen makes it a lot more complicated to do that, and it allows your two top defensive tackles to take up space and allow those linebackers to come and do their job. At a 3-3-5, you're talking about spreading that defense really far out, and you got some big holes if those offensive linemen hit their key blocks at the right point. So as an offensive lineman looking at it, a 3-3-5 against a run-first team, I'm eating all day. Okay. Especially if my offensive line knows how to block it right, and because I don't think a 3-3-5 fits what Tennessee State is going to want to do. Because if you're running RPO, run first, read option thing, wouldn't you want that offensive line to be trying to handle Devontae Davis and Katron Evans and allow your linebackers to go get Draylon Ellis and those running backs and on those screen passes? In my opinion, I don't think the wide receiving core and everything like that is you can still run a 4-2-5. I don't think you need 3 linebackers out there, in my opinion. I think 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and you can, in that 50V can be someone like I think Shiloh's still hurt, but a Cam who's a glorified linebacker at times, bring him down in the box and let him go hunt. I think that fits everything that Jackson State needs to do.
I think and that's what I was thinking when I was looking at the film. I'm like, I don't see them going a lot of 3-3-5, but when they kind of did like a chaos style, that old Ravens stand up, everybody move around. The only people that really had their hand on the ground was Devontae, the big boys. They had Niles standing up, they had Aubrey standing up, they had Doyle standing up, they had Cam around. So it's still a 3-3-5. But it's more of a chaos style to where I could bring 3. I can bring, blitz and make it. I think you're going to see a lot more run blitzing, even though they might still look like a 3-3-5 style. But for me, my whole thing is this. I gotta move Devontae. I got to move Devontae Davis. If I don't care what it looks like, we got to double him to get to anybody else, because he is the key. If he doesn't move, I mean, if you're RPNO the DN, okay. If you're RPNO the linebacker for the pass, okay, I get all that. But if you're not moving Devontae Davis, you're not getting much power play in the middle, because he is freaking Vince Wilfork. I mean, Haloli Nada, whatever you want to say about run stoppers, he's that guy, and he can push the pocket back to the quarterback. He's that guy, and you got to block him up front. He's just that real.
The chaos is so like I understand what the chaos scheme and containment and things like that, but the one thing I would be wary about in that chaos scheme, it takes one person. It takes you picking the wrong guy to drop back, and if he's dropping back and that offensive lineman fires off at him and gets his hands on him, good luck. Yeah. What, you got a 300-pounder coming at you full speed and you're on your heels? There's no chance. So like, you take a big option with the chaos, and they could use that to confuse the defensive line, not know who's coming, when, and where. It's just, I think the offense they're going to see this weekend is so different from what they saw last weekend against FAMU that, in my opinion, 4 down linemen is a must until you shut down Starling and force Draylon Ellis to be the guy to beat you. So I'm going to be interested, man. Listen, they got Mike Zimmer and everyone in that coaching room, so I'm sure they're going to have a great game plan. But if I'm Tennessee State, I'm drooling at the thought that they only put down 3 linemen.
I think
absolutely drooling.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions, that we're going to move to your score, Blue. One, and this is a statement, then the next one's a question. This statement, I think if I was Tennessee State, I would do a lot of trap blocks, because one thing I've seen about this Jackson State defense is that all they want to do is go up They want to go up the field. I'm trap blocking. And then the 3-3-5 it's a little weird because you can have somebody over top of the nose and you don't really trap block the nose or whatever. But if he's shading on one side, okay, cool. But I would definitely try to get some trap blocks going, and maybe some wide receiver middle tunnel screens, definitely a tight end tunnel screen. I'm definitely trying to do that, okay? Because I mean, if anybody's seen Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey, they do it all the time. You're doing a fake option, the tunnel screens on the inside. And so, anyway, I'm getting a little too deep, but my thing is, how is the Tennessee State secondary? Because I know a lot of people want to talk about that. They say it's not up to par. What's your opinion on that Tennessee State secondary?
That's why I wouldn't worry, man, because they're young. They got a lot of new guys back there. They're one senior safety. They lost him. I'm blanking on his name right now. It's like Corey Raymond went to the XFL, has a chance to go to the NFL this year. So, I mean, I'm rooting for him. He was a hell of a safety. They have a lot of new names back there, man, but they got some transfers that last week, man, it's tough to defend Eastern Washington. Now, listen, they throw for 300 on everybody. I put no stock into it's been happening for like 15 years. Listen, just to remind you guys, Eastern Washington has the most Walter Payton Award winners in the history of FCS football. And that goes quarterbacks, wide receivers. That team is that team is outrageous. But my problem is, and I talked about this on my show, you cannot lose yourself in space. And I saw that too often. They'd run a zone coverage, and they would cover great at first, and then all of a sudden, you see a guy start drifting. And when he started drifting, that wide receiver made a cut and he was in the wrong place. And like I said on my show, if you do that, that's 6 for Jackson State. You have to be so disciplined if you run zone, man, whatever, you have to be so disciplined in whatever coverage you're running, because we know if you get lost, Dallas Daniels is going to find a way to be open. Kevin Coleman is going to find a way to be open. Rucker, Wadman, whoever's out there, Shane Hooks, because we can go down the list of names, Rico Powers. You have to know where you are at all times, and you have to know who is in your zone and where you need to be. Because if you lose these Jackson State wide receivers, they're going for 6, and things are going to get out of hand. So the secondary was not spectacular last weekend. I don't think anyone would say that, but I think the secondary is better than they showed. Man, they got the talent, but if you're Tennessee State, I think we can both agree it needs to pour. I'm talking monsoon in Memphis. The more it rains, the better chance Tennessee State has, and they need to do a rain dance in the locker room. They got to bring it all down on Memphis.
I'm reaching out to all the Indian people I know, Chiefs, Cherokee, Sunni, whatever, Florida Seminole. I'm reaching out to every tribe. Somebody doing the rain dance tonight. And plus, they got you, Blue. So you're bringing white lightning.
That's the only reason I'm coming to the game. Listen, that's the only reason Tennessee State approved my credentials. They knew I was going to bring the rain with me.
Come on. What's your score, Blue?
Oh, man, I got to skip over the Tennessee State ones. No, you good? Oh, no, you good. Listen, it's Devon Starling and Terrell Allen. We know what both of them bring. Terrell Allen's finally healthy. Let me get the stats real quick. Last year, 11.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. He's got to bring his Austin Peay performance to Tennessee State now that he's healthy. And we know what Devon Starling did. 207, a touchdown. Explosiveness is key. I got Jackson State 35-27. I know a lot of people have been dragging me because I didn't pick Jackson State by 40. Listen, man, I think Tennessee State is a better team than FAMU. And Scotty, you can vouch for me. Did I not have Tennessee State ranked higher in my HBC rankings than FAMU?
Absolutely did. You absolutely
Tennessee State is a better team than Florida A&M was, and I said that in July. I really don't see this game getting out of hand. But listen, I think Jackson State, and the guy right there next to my score prediction is the reason that Jackson State wins this game. And Shedeur Sanders right now is the hottest player in FCS football on the offensive side of the ball. I'm not going to disrespect my guy, Justin Ford, like that. Hottest offensive player in the country right now. I just think he has too much, man, for Tennessee State. And I think it's going to be 35-27, but I expect Devin Starling to run for 100 yards this weekend.
Oh, man. All right. Call lines are open, 518-263-8124, 518-263-8124. If you didn't watch the pick as well, I picked Jackson State. I don't know what the score was, but I definitely had Jackson State winning as well. And my factors were simply I trust Shedeur more than I trust Draylen Ellis. And I'll say this: once again, Blue, I agree. If it, listen, you can't pray enough for rain. Do you hear me? Okay, you cannot pray enough. If I'm Tennessee State, I'm talking to every weatherman. I'm talking to every superstition. I want it to rain like it's about to be a hurricane, for real. Because if I make Jackson State have to run the ball and do something they are not comfortable doing on a consistent basis, you want the game to be as sloppy as possible. You want the game to be as nasty and grinded out, because that is Tennessee State. That's the type of style of play they want to do, and that's where they live at. You know what I'm saying? If it's a run game and it's defense and run, Jackson State got the defense, and Tennessee State has the run game. So we'll just meet up in the middle.
I pulled up your video, man. 35-24 was
35
your score prediction.
35-24. So you know, what you got? You had 30, 35.
I had 35-27. So listen, we right there.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but that's why we the round table. You took me to school on that last one. You know what I'm saying? I went like 0 for 4, bro. Like,
listen, when I saw you pick Jackson State, I almost picked Tennessee State just by default. I didn't even put a score. I was just like, my only reason in this because Scotty picked Jackson State, and he is a jinx this year, man, because everyone you pick gets drugged. There hasn't been a close game yet for a team you've picked.
Bro, all my guys got taken to I was like, God, man, I was walking back from the OBC, and I was talking to Key. I was like, babe, you know all the teams that I picked? I mean, I didn't pick Alabama A&M to beat UAB, but I'm just saying that's my guy, Quincy Casey. I'm like, Andrew Body, demolished. Quincy Casey, demolished. I'm like, who else I picked? I was like, FAMU.
FAMU, everyone.
Demolished. I'm like, Jesus.
Howard.
Demolished. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, Jesus. Right.
Man, I'm disappointed in mine. I'm 12-6 this year right now.
I think the first week was just, for me, it was all like heart picks. There was a lot of emotional picks, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
I'm going to say, listen, I'll say this, and people will feel me on this. If Tennessee State wins, I'm punching air, because it's the second week I've went away from my gut feeling and followed the stats. Because I had the slide made picking Central. And I said, man, I just have this weird feeling, man. I can't pick them. And then they won. I was pissed. I was more pissed about that game than anything last week. I was like, man, I would have been the only one picking them. I'd have been the only one picking them, and they let it get away. So if Tennessee State wins, I'm going to be the maddest dude on the round table next week.
No, I'm telling you, bro. Like, sometimes you gotta be that lone wolf, man. You gotta be able to accept that lone wolf status sometimes, man. Because I remember you was like, because the funny thing about you, I like you, like, hey man, you by yourself on that one, man. All right, because oh man, let me. This is Double T Double O. Let me get the head real quick. Hey, Double T, you live? What's goody?
Hey, what's going on? The Bluebloods, you right. If a lot of these people, they didn't see that game last week with Tennessee State and Eastern Washington. Eddie George got those boys playing above their potential. Like, if they put their foot in the ground, they north and south, they gone. They get a little daylight, they gone. They leaving, and they lost the game in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, like, they didn't get their ass beat. And really, the DBs, they didn't look that bad. They just blew some coverages. Like, they blew 2 coverages where the wide receivers just wide open. Somebody missed their coverages. And people talking like the DBs so bad at Tennessee State, or we just going to throw all over them. Eastern Washington, their wide receivers catch everything. If they get in there, they catching everything. They run good routes. It's not like they so flashy or they shake or anything, but they run precise routes. And they know how to create some space, and they gone. So y'all saying that, like, Tennessee State didn't play no bums. They played 13th ranked team. If y'all thought Southeast Louisiana smashed FAMU last year, Eastern Washington would have killed them last year. You know? And he did what he did. He did them yards in the ring too. I would see them yards in the ring.
Yeah, and he still threw for 300 in the rain with 5 tubs.
Yeah. Yeah, if Ellis too. If this a crack of daylight, he gone. He running. He gone.
Hey, man,
gone.
Listen. It's not too many quarterbacks, and I know in Double T, you gonna know exactly what I'm talking about because I keep talking about this play. The long touchdown run, he breaks out. He does like a little a jump stutter step. I'm like,
it was nasty. It was nasty.
I'm like, what quarterback is out here doing? I'm like, this kid is. I mean, it just proceeds to just.
And he's confident in his feet. That's why he do them stutter steps.
He's so long. He literally has long legs, can get up, and he can go 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah. I expect JSU to beat him, but y'all not blowing them away. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I said this to you, and everyone has probably screenshot this. I know Timona on the channel probably screenshot it. If Jackson State wins this game by 20 plus, no one's touching them in the SWAC. It's over.
It's over.
Yeah, go ahead and listen. If they win, I'm going ahead and buying. If I'm a Jackson State fan and they blow Tennessee State out 20 plus, buy your tickets to Atlanta because there's not a team in the SWAC that is going to even come close.
Yeah, not even in their dreams. Not even if Shador sits out a game, y'all not beating them. If they blow them out by 20 points, y'all not. I'm sorry. All right, y'all. Good show.
All right, bro. I still think. Listen, man. You know me. I gotta beat that with that. I still gotta see what Southern looks like. I'm not taking the high school game any type of serious.
You can't take this game any serious.
Well, maybe.
You
see what I'm saying? Like it's no different than Bethune-Cookman against Miami. We took some pointers away from that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a UAB and Alabama A&M where you're like, yo, please just end the game. Like, God, dog. You know what I'm saying? I think the Southern and LSU, I think there might be some things you could take from that game, but I still have to see what Southern looks like. You know, like just looks like and see what they've put together on the field because, you know, I've been hearing some things. So we'll see how that looks going forward. 4802 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live.
What's going on, y'all? Calling from Huntsville. This Serve.
What's up, Serve?
All right. So don't be guaranteeing nobody gonna beat us until after week 3. Then make predictions like that. Second thing is I don't think that NDSU should even go to Fargo. I don't know what y'all think, but I don't even think they should show up.
You talking about North Carolina A&T?
Because that's just yeah. I don't think NCAT should go to Fargo. I think they should just come up with some kind of excuse or something and even show up.
Said monkeypox.
Now, hang on. What's the narrative now? Let's keep it fair. What's the narrative if they pull the upset though?
Blue, if they pull the upset, I will donate $500 to your channel.
Okay, I'll take that. That's fine. But no, I'm saying you're going from you're going from Sam Washington's office being packed when he got back from the game last week to we might build a statue outside the stadium for that upset win.
Nah, yeah, it just ain't happening. And in terms of the game y'all talking about right now, I think it should be a good one. Honestly, I don't care who win it, but I think the weakest part of Tennessee State's team last week was the D-line, but they ran into one of the best O-lines in the country. I don't think Jackson State's O-line is like that, and they run a spread, so I don't think Shador is going to be as comfortable this week because I think Tennessee State has a good D-line players. Now, whether they're able to establish themselves early is going to decide whether they can slow down Jackson State's offense because the offense is just potent. But yeah, in terms of Tennessee State losing that last game, I don't think it was in the last 2 minutes. Like the previous caller said, he definitely threw that pick. But I think Tennessee State blew the opportunity to win the game when the quarterback fumbled before halftime, and they were like midfield getting ready to drive to score. I'm sure, Blue, you watched that game, right?
Yeah. I was about to say you're 100% right. That's points off the board right there, easily.
Yeah, they had the chance to really kind of take that game in the grasp because Eastern Washington, the offense was really good. The O-line, they could stop every attack that was coming, but they got some pretty big time plays that shouldn't have happened. And I think if they shore those things up on defense, they'll look a lot more solid. So it should be an interesting one. I don't really care who wins, but I think if the D-line doesn't do much, I think Shador have it pretty comfortable, and they'll win it by 2 touchdowns.
All right, man. Appreciate the call, sir. Hey, let me say this before I take another call of Blue. I gotta be honest, bro. And I've probably watched the JSU game twice already. There was a lot of holding calls that were not called. I mean, bro, like and listen, you know, I'm not the biggest FAMU fan on the D line. I don't think they all world or nothing like that. But I'm just like, some of these jokers were just blatant. So I think the referee could, whoever's calling this game, I don't know if it's gonna be SWAC refs, I don't know if it's gonna be CAA refs, I don't know what the referees are gonna look like. But if it's SWAC refs, I'm just leaning a little bit more strongly toward JSU. If it's some CAA refs, I might be leaning a little bit. I think it might be called a little evenly. I'm just gonna say that right now. But man, listen, go back and watch that game. It's a lot of holding. 6-2-3-3 coming to you, Rock.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, man, Blue, you hurt my feelings, baby. You hurt my feelings.
Nah, man, it's still all love, man. You know how it is.
When I called Draylon Ellis, his passing stats, catfish, brother. They were catfish. He had over half his yards on 2 plays. He completed 17 passes, and half of his yards came on 2 plays, bro. It ain't like he was out there wheeling and dealing in the passing game. You know what I mean?
I didn't say he was wheeling and dealing. I'm just saying he was a lot more efficient than he was at Austin P. If you go back and watch his Austin P film, like he's taken a huge step forward.
I wasn't comparing him to anything else other than he had a competent game, right? He had a competent game, and he had big plays in the passing game. But I personally don't think any of those touchdowns that he threw were because of his exceptional ability to pass the football or read a defense. You know what I mean? And that's what I was saying about it. I wasn't saying that he wasn't a dynamic athlete or he wasn't a good quarterback. I'm saying when you look that he threw for 246 yards and completed 17 passes, 2 of them came on, his yards came on 2 plays. And so that's what I meant by catfish. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you remember the one pass he threw. I think it was 24 again. It was in the second half where he hit him up the sideline and he put it in the pocket, man, on the outside shoulder, and the safety was flying and he put it right on the outside pocket, man, and hit him right in stride. And I mean, that was his best throw of the day. Or the one that Scotty was talking about where he was rolling to his right and threw it all. Yeah. And launched it.
He has some good passes. But the reason why they won that game, in my opinion, is because Starling went for 200. You know what I mean? Like that's why they won the game.
But that's
it's because my man went for 200.
Hold on, Rock. If that's the style of offense they run, how do you blame How do you blame Ellis because they are a run first team?
No. Okay. So what I think Blue was doing was giving Ellis too much credit for the performance of the offense last week. That's what I was saying. Like to me, the reason why they were in the game was because of the big plays that the wide receivers made. You know, that one where he kept his balance, and the big runs by Starling. Like that's why I thought they were in the game. Like the quarterback is surely dynamic and explosive. Don't get me wrong, right? But he gave away just as much as he gave, in my opinion.
Now, I don't know if you saw the preview, but I said the best player on Tennessee State on either side of the ball is Devon Starling. And I said, and I stand on this still today, he's the best running back in HBCU football, and there might not be a close second.
I wouldn't argue with you because he, like I say, he put him on his back against he made. I have no idea about Eastern Washington and their defense, right? Because I hadn't seen them before, anything like that. But he made them look slow. He made them look slow and incompetent out there trying to run him down and tackle.
Go ahead. I would say, my bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you. But that's the reason I kind of was like, it just aggravates me because there were so many people who who watched that game because they were scouting for Jackson State, who has never seen Eastern Washington play. They don't understand how good the Big Sky is. They don't understand how dominant I mean, this is a team that has been to 2 national titles and won one in recent memory and is consistently in the second, third semifinals of the playoffs and competing for one of the toughest conferences in the country. And because they had a game against Draylon Ellis and Devon Starling where they look like amazing athletes, instead of saying, oh, look how great Devon Starling looked. Look how great Draylon Ellis looked. Look how fast they look. Look at all these athletes. You know what? A lot of the analysts said is Eastern Washington looks slow. But then when they're analyzing Jackson State games, Jackson State's just all world, and they're just beating everyone who else is all world, and they don't do that for Jackson State. So the main thing I was trying to get off of my point was when people analyze games, they'll say, look how great Jackson State looked, man. Look, they did this to FAMU, this to FAMU, this to FAMU. But when they analyze Tennessee State's game, they say, oh, the defense is slow, or the defense can't tackle, or the defense can't do this, or the offense didn't do this. And instead of giving Tennessee State the same credit they give Jackson State athletes, they say that Tennessee State didn't play no one at Eastern Washington is trash and shouldn't be ranked. That's the only thing that got me heated up, is because people don't understand FCS football and has never watched an Eastern Washington game making dumb accusations like that.
And yes,
you know that Jackson State fans aren't objective in any way. Like I'm a prime fan and I like Jackson State a lot, but you can't ask those guys to be objective after 2 years of listening to them talk about football. They view everything that Jackson State does in a unrealistic way, and they try to downplay everybody else. But that wasn't what I was doing, because in all honesty, right? In my opinion, the best thing that Tennessee State did was hold EWU to 30-something points, right? Because EWU can put 60 up on you historically pretty easy, easy. So that's all I was saying, bro. But nah, man, you had great commentary. And this is what I want to ask you. One last question, Blue. What was your record against the spread?
Well, it's hard because some of these FCS games don't have spreads. Just because so I don't know what the spread was for some of these games because some of them didn't have them, but I know the first week there were a few games that I'm like my scores were right there, so I feel like it would still be about the same. There might be a handful, but
I was horrible, man. I almost got put out last week, man. Because I showed you. Well, I sent you my pics via Twitter. And so I got wiped out, but I'm gonna be back at it again this week, and maybe I can move back in the house and get caught up with some of your picks.
Hey, appreciate the call, Rob. Listen, Hezekiah. Me personally, I think Sterling is better than Savion from Jackson State. That's just me personally. Blue, you can have your own opinion about that, but that's just my opinion. I think Sterling's a better running back. Let me see. I'm going 9387. I'm coming to you, Smash. Hey, you live?
Yo, man, I know people get overexcited, but I'm starting to see a lot of these Heisman talks about Shadur. Like, I just want to know, like, do y'all think it could be realistic? And if so, what would it take?
No,
nothing
happened.
Nothing. I mean, no matter what he does, he's not winning the Heisman.
But I get everybody out by 50.
No,
it wouldn't get a look.
No.
All right.
Like, okay, hang on, real quick. Stay on the phone, Smash. I got you, Scotty. Hang on. Let me type this in real quick. Okay. Well, hang on. Before you take the next caller, let me give you some. Let me give you some stuff. These are stats that. So hang on. Let me go to this one. These stats right here almost didn't win the Walter Payton. Over 5,000 yards passing. Multiple games over 70% completion percentage, 46 passing touchdowns, and 4 rushing touchdowns is what Eric Berrier put up last year. And was there any Heisman talk, Scotty?
No.
Now, hang on. I got you again. Let me go to Cole Kelly because I don't think people understand how good these stats really were. This Heisman talk has got to stop, man. This is ridiculous. Let me get his 2021 stats up because I don't think people understand, how good he really was. But let's see right here. So He had 5,100 passing yards and 44 passing touchdowns with 16 rushing touchdowns last year, Scotty. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. Jesus Christ. The football knowledge is at like negative 50 sometimes, man. The Heisman. Come on. You can go to the next caller. Jesus Christ.
I am hanging up on anybody who says Heisman. If you say hi the wrong way, I might hang up on you. Jesus freaking Christ. 5059 coming to you.
Hey, Scotty. Hey, Blue. Just talking about the last caller first. When we look back at Steve McNair, he had nearly 6,000 yards of total offense and finished third. So
I wasn't even born. It doesn't matter what he had. Things have changed. Like, this is 2021.
Right.
Like, people are killing me.
He was just giving a comparison that Aaron.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if y'all know this. Like, he averaged 5. Like, I forgot what it was. He like Steve McNair holds still like almost every offensive record in like the NCAA FCS record book. It's stupid. And even if a player did what Steve McNair did, he still wouldn't get votes.
Hey, here's my question. Looking at all the teams that brought in all the players from the transfer portal, at some point, we got to kind of look at the field general and not the privates. The head coaches here, they got all the right players, all the right food for the chef in the kitchen, and we still made slop. Who's held accountable here? How do we hold the head coaches accountable for not bringing it all together?
Okay, so are you? Hold on. Okay, I'm trying to understand the question. Are you saying?
Because I guess what I'm asking is, go ahead.
No, are you trying to ask like, how do we hold the coaches, like the head coaches, accountable?
Well, not how do we hold them accountable, but what do you think they missed? What did they not do? What did they fail to do? With all of that talent that they brought in, that they thought they had coming in from the transfer portal, and the results currently, what did they miss? What did they not do?
What team?
Who?
What team?
Oh, Alabama A&M.
I'm like, Jesus. Cause like we just, I mean, like, you know how many teams are on the FCS? We're like, yo, like, what are you talking about?
My bad.
First of all, I mean, UAB, I mean, they're a top team. Like BJ talks about them all the time. BJ Jones, he talks about he went to UAB. He's like, yo, they're a contender for Conference USA. Like, they're a legit team. Defensive line is legit. For me, I think there's always going to be a trial period when you're listen. Akil Glass is a top 4 SWAC quarterback of all time. Do I think he was all world great? No, but statistically, he could do the daggone thing. So when you lose that, there's always going to be some leadership you have to replace, production you have to replace, and then you really not knowing where. Like, Gunnar Tarkenton has been behind Eric Berrier for 3 years, so he knows the system. Xavier Langford been behind Akil Glass for 2 years. He looked average. Quincy just got there last year. He looked average. So it's like I don't even have a transitional guy to go to. And then I still had to replace my whole defense. And that still looks a little iffy. You know what I'm saying? And offensively, it didn't look the same. So I just think there's a lot of factors to rebuilding a new team. And a lot of people think it's just plug and play. Not all the time it comes like that, but it's on you, Blue.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I've said all the time, man. Just all transfers aren't made the same. You can go get a bunch of guys who didn't, work out in another place. That doesn't mean they're going to fit your culture, fit your scheme, work together well. And like I said, I think Jackson State was lightning in a bottle with all the transfers they brought in and how quickly they gelled. And for me, it's just right now we don't know, man. It's been one game, like Scotty said. I think Troy. In my opinion, they're not as good as UAB, but they do have a really good quarterback in Doji coming in. I don't think we'll know anything about Alabama A&M until week 3 when they face Austin Peay, and then week 4 or 5 when they faced FAMU. So I think I'll hold judgment for the transfers and things like that up until they play like an FCS school, because it's tough. And I also know some of the transfers didn't play, if I'm not mistaken, in week 1. So we'll see. But I think it was a disappointing showing to say the least. But I'm going to hold out judgment right now on Alabama A&M until they play someone at the FCS level.
Hey, all right. Hey, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Hey, no problem. Appreciate the call. 7134 coming to you.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
What's up? What's your name? Where you calling from?
This Quay, man. I'm calling from Memphis.
Talk to us.
Hey, man. Yeah, man. I want to say 3 things. I'm a go, man. Look, I'm a big fan of Shedeur, man. I've been a big fan of him since his first year, man. But, people talking out, don't hang up the phone, Scotty. I'm just going to say this. People talking out this Heisman talk, man. And I'll put it like this, man. Like y'all said, it's been some really good FCS quarterbacks, man. And he's no different than the other ones that's been really good also, man. I'll put it like that. Honestly, he's great. But he's not. I think people are really overhyping him at the one game. I'm going to say that.
That's fair.
And I also want to say, man, I think TSU will be able to they have to get to him, man. And I think that they actually will, man. I think that they'll get to him in that game. I don't think they'll win. I think it'll be a close game, but I think that they will get to him, man, because I don't think that they're going to go down without a fight. And people talking crazy with these scores, man. Like, that team that they just played, they're ranked higher than JSU is, ain't they?
Facts.
They should be, but we'll leave it at that.
And if they was able to keep that score close in that game and actually have a chance to win at the end without the pick, man, I actually think TSU, man, I think they'll give JSU a run for their money, man. I think they will, for real. They will really give them a run for their money, man. And can I say a score that I think the game is going to be, and I'm going to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the score will be at the end, 34-31 JSU, man.
Okay. Hey, appreciate the call, man.
All right, y'all.
Do you think Shedeur is overhyped, Blue?
No, I mean, Shedeur's that good. In my opinion, I thought coming into the season, I thought he was a top 3 quarterback at the FCS level. I still think that. I think when you're looking at quarterbacks, it goes him, Jason Shelley, and then you can kind of put whoever you want probably in that 3rd spot. But I think him and Jason Shelley right now are the 2 best quarterbacks at the FCS level. We'll see what talking to him looks like. Listen, Eastern Washington has a history of developing really good quarterbacks, but I can't give him a top 5, crown after one game. But listen, you're talking about the Jerry Rice Award winner, man. He won that over some really deserving other freshmen, man. Listen, Darius Hell rushed for like 20 touchdowns as a freshman and finished 2nd. And there were some really Jalen Witcher over at Presbyterian, man, had over 1,000 yards and was one of the top receivers in the FCS. So for me, I think Shedeur's hype is there, man. I just think the reason people are overhyping is because they don't understand. Listen, it's not because no one doesn't like Shedeur. It's not because of politics with the institution. It's nothing like that. It's just nowadays they created awards at the FCS level to have that. It's the same reason why James Houston wasn't up for the Benark Award or the Nagurski Award. And I went to Will Anderson and Nakobe Dean. That's why he was in the running for the Buck Buchanan. There's a reason that FBS and FCS are separated as bowl subdivisions, and there's awards at each level. And so that's the only reason. It's no one's hating, no one's trying to kill your buzz, whatever that. It's just, bro, it's just 2 different levels of football. Like, it's the same reason Shedeur wasn't up for the freshman of the year at the FBS level last year. It was because it's 2 different levels of football, man. And that's the only thing. And I think people are getting carried away. And listen, maybe they pull some strings and get him in the voting, but he's not winning the Heisman, man. I think that's safe to say.
4741, you're live.
Hey, how you doing, fellas?
What's goody? What's your name? Where you calling from?
All right, so I'm calling from Jersey, Tony from Jersey.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think the one thing that you guys are not taking into consideration, which is a big factor, is the star factor, and the fact that I don't care what other FCS quarterback does, they're not going to be talked about on First State. They're not going to be talked about on Undisputed or any other ESPN channel. The fact of the matter is Shador is a star because of his dad, and we can't, whether we like it or not, it's just a fact. So if he continues to put up numbers, trust me, they will all be talking about him as the Heisman.
I'm not dealing with it. You guys are idiots. Idiots. Okay, Blue won't say it, but I'm saying it. You're idiots. Come on, man. I'm not dealing with the stupid stuff. Mr. Campbell, you live.
Man, listen. Scott, I want to make sure you can hear me clearly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Keep the Heisman name out your mouth. Seriously. I mean, come on, man. What are we doing here? Do we need to really go Will Smith on somebody and slap somebody for this foolishness? I'm serious. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Shador is a good player. Shador is a good player at the SWAC level. He's still got a long way to go. And don't ever compare Shador to Steve McNair. Steve McNair was the 3rd pick in the draft. There's levels to this. Okay? Shador is not the 3rd pick in the draft. So I'm not going to have all that. So let's talk a little bit of football because I love what you guys are doing. So I talked to one of my guys as a scout. He hit me with something. He knows Eddie George personally. He said, you know what Eddie and those guys need to play? And I'm going to go way back because we're old heads. Florida State had a team with, you guys know who Charlie Ward is. Yeah. They had all those wide receivers. Ward Dunn was on that team. This was a team that Derek Brooks was on. They were beating people 60-0, 75-0. Derek Brooks was scoring more touchdowns, kind of like JSU. They ended up playing Notre Dame in the end of the year. Notre Dame played an umbrella zone with a spy on Charlie Ward. That's really what Tennessee State needs to do. If I'm them, because what happened to FAMU, Shador was shake, get that first down. Keep those chains moving. So if I'm Tennessee State, I'm going to put in a couple of extra defensive backs. I'm not going to let you get behind me, and I'm going to have that game in front of me. And Shador, when you try to make your move, I've got my linebacker sitting right there because I need to keep you in 3rd and something. I got to get you to 3rd down. Where then, if I can get you to 3rd down, then I can win that game. Not like FAMU. Shador was 2nd and 3, 3rd and 2, first down, touchdown. Tennessee State's not going to win like that. They have got to make JSU drive. So that's right. So you know what? Let them get it. But don't give them the big play over the top. Make sure Shador stays in that pocket and run that ball like they did. Then Tennessee State will have a shot. And that's the only way they're going to win that. And when I thought about that game, that's exactly how Florida State lost. They lost that game 31-24. So if Tennessee State is going to win it, it's going to be that type of score where you're going to have that, keep those receivers in front of you, make tackles, and Shador stop them. And that's really what's got to happen for Tennessee State to have any shot to win that game. Because if that thing gets into a track meet, like Blue said, get up by 14, get up by 21, then they're on to the next week. And Eddie George, the one thing I don't like about Eddie, and I watched a lot of his game, his body language. Eddie George is not a person that controls his body language. You can see every time when that thing gets funny, he starts squirming because I can tell he demands a lot, and he's the winner. So I think those guys really feed off of him. So if those boys and he starts doing the Eddie George dance, then yeah, they're going to have a problem, man. So that's my thing. So I really think that we need to cut out Shador as a really good quarterback. But like I say, keep the Heisman name out your mouth because you're doing a disservice when you call in the show even saying that. And I'm glad everybody is fans of Deion. I'm glad everybody's fan. I'm a big fan of Shador. I'm a big fan of Deion. But that is not football sense to even make. Especially. And like I say, Steve McNair, again, was the 3rd pick in the draft. That man was dominant. Shador has played well. Steve McNair was on a whole nother level. You guys weren't born to understand what I'm talking about, how dominant this guy was. He was doing Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. So just think about that. That's who Steve McNair was at the FCS level. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. So I just wanted to put that out there and wanted to see what you guys thought about them kind of playing that umbrella zone, keeping everybody in front and stuff like that. So I wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
If that umbrella zone comes with the outside guys playing flats, then I can rock with it. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to keep giving Shador easy throws. He'll take those all day. It's pretty much a run. You know what I'm saying? If you're letting me get up and turn around and catch 3 or 4 yard hitch routes, you know, that's easy money. You know what I'm saying? If it was Jackson State last year, absolutely agree with the whole concept because they were trying to go over your head. This year, I don't think Shador is so much in love with the deep ball. He'll hit it if it's there, but he'll happily take the 3 yard, 4 yard. So I just think if you mix it up between Tampa 2, cloud zones, you know, flats, you know, like I think if you mix it up, I think you can find a nice little way to get Shador off his game and make some zone blitzes in there, something like that. What's up, Blue? What you got?
If you're gonna run that, you better be completely certain you trust your defensive backs to make a tackle. Because the one thing that worries me about that is one, it puts Shador's confidence going, and he's just going to start dinking and dunking. And he did that one drive against FAMU where he walked him right down the field, and then he found someone for a touchdown, and it's just bound to break. So you risk a lot by letting Shador get hot, because if they play that, Shador has a chance to go 18 for 18 again, or whatever, you know, it was before he threw an incompletion. So it worries me a little bit. And the other thing is with the way Tennessee State tackled at times, they did great at the first half. In the second half, they missed some tackles. If you miss a tackle on Kevin Coleman, Dallas Daniels, or one of those guys, it's to the house. I mean, they're going to take it for 6. And so that's the one thing that worries me about that is with some of the tackling issues we saw with with Tennessee State's defensive backs, man, you're risking a lot, because if you miss one tackle or you mess up one spot, man, it could be a problem. So it's a high risk, high reward defense there. I think for me, it doesn't matter what you do if you can't get pressure on Shador.
I think for me, I would mix and blend in dropping my DNs. That's what I would mix in, because when they go trips and you slide out for leverage, I would drop a DN. That would be my thing, just to kind of make that throw that much more harder, to make you go to the boundary. You know what I'm saying? That would be my play. I would drop my DN every now and again, just to kind of give you a different look, bring it from a, drop, bring it from another side, or, if you're close to the boundary, I'll drop my end far from the boundary, bring the blitz closer to the boundary, something like that. That's what I would try to mix in every now and again to make it difficult. All right, I'm going to take these last 4 callers. All right, these are the last 4 callers. 3751-1786, 8945-2156. That's it. These are the last 4 callers. Coming to 3751. Hey, caller, you live.
Hey, what's going on, Scotty? What's going on, Blue? This is Mike.
What's up, Mike?
It's good, man.
Hello?
Yeah, you live.
Hey, check this out. Man, I was eating my dinner, but I got so goddamn offended, man. I had to call in, man. Hey, these SWAC fans, man, are so outrageous. And they don't have no ground to stand on to have that type of, that bombasticness, man. You're 0-19 in the playoffs. You ain't never beat shit. You ain't never beat McNeese. You ain't never beat Northwestern State. You ain't never beat nobody in the top 20 in FCS football. Jackson State got 2 losses last year. What did it come to? UR Monroe, and they lost to the Mets. They don't win shit out of conference. Man, the SWAC is basically 7A high school football, and everybody know that. You know that, Scotty. You know that, Blue. But y'all make money off this shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the FCS top 20 is basically a team that is ready to transition to the FBS. The FBS football has great football. Villanova, Delaware, James Madison, William and Mary. These are all good teams. And these guys, I listen to all these talk shows as a truck driver, and these guys just talk bullshit for hours upon hours about the SWAC. Look, before I get a phone, the SWAC ain't never been shit. The SWAC never is going to be shit. The only team good in the SWAC is JSU. I'm out.
You guys hang on. Do you guys second for the next caller?
Yeah. Go ahead.
The views represented by that caller do not represent AllScript LLC or the Bluebloods LLC. So we're just going to leave it at that. The views represented and spoken by the caller do not represent AllScript LLC or the Bluebloods LLC, comma LLC. My bad.
AllScript Group, comma LLC.
Yeah, Group LLC.
1786 coming to you. Hey, calling you live.
What's up? What's up, gentlemen? This is Finisher. Hey, so the caller definitely stole a lot of my thunder, and I'm glad he brought the energy. And this is why I'm telling everybody else in the SWAC that's not JSU fans, you better get behind Tennessee State this weekend because we have to stop the delusion. We have to stop it because if they beat us like they beat Florida A&M, it's over, like Blue was saying last night. It's over. You're never going to shut them up. They're going to be like Godzilla running through Tokyo, just stomping on everybody. I'm telling you, it's going to get worse and worse and worse, like the damn coronavirus. I'm telling you, dog. Hey, so this game, I think, is going to be completely different from what everybody's been saying. I think this is going to be a defensive battle with everybody feeling each other out. I think Brandon Fisher is a good enough defensive coordinator to see the mistakes that he made in the last game with some of the players and some of the positions that he was playing against Eastern Washington, and translate that to the Jackson State game to try to keep this game as close net and tight as possible. Like you guys were saying, they can't miss one-on-one tackles on the outside because Jackson State does have good enough receivers to take it to the house if they miss one. So expect a lot of cover 2, a lot of cover 3 stuff. They're going to dare Jackson State to run the ball. That's what I think. They're going to dare them to run the ball. And on the flip side, Jackson State, if you think that you can put 6 in the box and stop Tennessee State, that ain't happening, dog. You're going to have to play man up, and we're going to see, if you do play man up, we're going to see a Braylon Ellis, the guy that some of y'all don't even know a damn thing about. We're going to see how good his deep ball is, because the one thing he can do is throw a pretty deep ball. If one of those receivers do get it outside, we're going to see how good Travis Hunter is, but I hope they attack Shiloh's ass. That's who I want to attack. You attack Shiloh up the middle, and we're going to see how good they are. 17-10 Tennessee State. That's all I got.
I like the score. I definitely like the score. Shiloh's not playing. He has a messed up knee, so he's not playing. So y'all
Hey, and he backed up his score prediction. He's commented on, like, I think my last 3 videos. That was his score prediction all week. He's backing it.
Well, I'll say this. I love Godzilla. And, one thing about Godzilla, they be like, Gaia. Well, I mean, listen, man. And I said this. I said, if JSU runs through the SWAC again, I got to challenge a lot of coaching in the SWAC. Now, I get it. They have talent. I get it. But it's just hard for me to think that if JSU was in the CAA, or if JSU was in the Missouri Valley, if JSU was in the Big Sky, that they will go undefeated. It's just hard for me. It's hard for me to think that. And I'm not saying these guys got immense talent on their rosters, but I think they have a scheme. They do what they do very well. They're well coached, and there will be some games. So I don't know how, Blue, how do you look at the conference? If you say JSU, would you give, if JSU blows out Tennessee State, do you think they run through the CAA? Do you think they run through the Big Sky? Do you think they, you know what I'm saying? I know they won't run through the Missouri Valley, so let's not even say that. But do they run through those conferences as well as the SWAC?
I don't think they've run through. I mean, do I think they can compete with some of those top teams? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the talent on paper, but I mean, I do think it'd be more competitive, because I mean, the thing is, you have like when I look at the top of the SWAC. So like right now, after what you've seen, who's the second best team in the SWAC?
Alcorn.
What would your score prediction if they were playing Saturday be?
By 14. JSU by 14.
And let's just say they're playing Montana next week. Score prediction?
Montana by 10.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, listen, Jack State. Listen, I keep getting grouped into this like JSU hater thing. I had Jack State 9th in my poll that I submitted. Legit, like it got counted in the poll that everyone wants to brag about. Like I submitted that they're the 9th best team in the country, so they can compete with the top teams in the country, man. But no, look, that they're not going undefeated through the Missouri Valley, the Big Sky, or the CAA. We'll see, man. It's only game 2, but right. I mean, I think we saw in the conference rankings that right now those are like the Big Sky, the Missouri Valley, CAA are some of the top conferences in college football, man. So listen, I'm not saying they would lose a bunch of games in there, but listen, it's hard to compete against the top 8, top 5 teams in the country, man.
Okay. 894. I don't know why Bama's keep calling in. Because I kept telling you, like, y'all always wait at the last minute to do this crap. I told you I'm taking 4 callers. 8945, you live. Hey, go ahead.
What's going on, Scotty? What's going on, Blue?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man. I just want to say, I did my preview show earlier today, and the thing I preached was consistency. Like everybody, you know, from what I saw last weekend, nobody was consistent except for Jackson State and like a few other, you know, teams from the SWAC that actually won their game. But I'm just saying you got to, you know, be consistent. My thing is that what I saw, I watched the highlight as far as what Tennessee State did against Eastern Washington, and they look damn good. I'm not going to even lie to you; they look damn good. Give away the takeaways that they had, especially the ones they had probably like 2 or 3 minutes left in the game. Also with Pope getting ejected for the targeting penalty. I see Tennessee State doing a damn good job. They have to be consistent in running, you know, basically running the ball. But with it, like you said, if you let Shedeur, if you let two sit in that pocket and just carve you up and just go down the field and score the touchdown, and if you down by 14 and 21 points, like you said, it's game over because they're going to be sitting, you know, they're going to be sitting in the driver's seat. He's going to try to lead the team in the driver's seat. And then basically, what I said too, as far as the defense goes, the defense has to cause havoc. Basically, what they did against FAMU, they kind of have to have the same kind of game plan, but I know they're going to have a little bit of tweaks here and there, but they have to cause havoc as far as defensive-wise. As somebody said, if you think they're not going to blitz six, Dennis Furman's going to blitz six no matter what. He don't care. He's going to blitz six. His DBs are going to play man. Cam is going to come into the box and be that extra linebacker that we say, and he's going to make plays. But as far as my score prediction, I'm going to change it. I did say earlier, I said that say 45-14. I'm going to change it. I'm going to do it 45-28.
All right, appreciate the call, D. Blue, you got something to do? Because, I mean, these callers are coming in like crazy.
No, man, listen, we can go as long as you need, man. I'm just chilling tonight.
All right, let's rock. Jeff Fisher or Mike Zimmer? What you got, Blue?
Mike Zimmer.
All day. I can't trust Mr. 7-9. I just can't do it. I mean, he is the definition of 7-9. I just can't do it. I couldn't. All right, so let's rock. Let's keep rocking. I'm gonna go 0094. Hey, caller, you live.
You're gonna try to This is your phone number?
0094.
Yo, I'm on.
Yeah, you on. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey man, it's Trust, man. I'm calling from Tampa, Florida, man.
Talk to me.
You know, I ain't gonna hold y'all up too long, but I just, you know, I see what's been going on. I've been following it. I've been following what's going on for a while, and it's just, you know, I just feel like JSU at this point, man, they got way much more to prove than what the callers that's calling in, you know, really going off of. JSU got so much to prove, man. They dealing with a Hall of Fame player, man. You know, at the end of the day, he know his stuff. You know, he built it up around him to where he can just, you know, start the season. He start the season off blowing out FAMU. I think it's gonna be the same. You know, no matter what team you playing the SWAC, I think it's gonna be the same outcome. It's gonna get worse, and it's gonna get worse and worse. And, you know, as he get more recruits coming in, you know, he's just not a regular guy. He's a Hall of Fame player. Deion Sanders is a Hall of Fame player. Everybody want to play for him, you know, and it's just everybody gonna play their best when they play for him. You know what I mean? Versus these other coaches, and you know, so I just feel like JSU is just they're not supposed to be in that conference, and Deion Sanders is gonna make a statement and let everybody know, you know, why they're not supposed to be in that conference.
Hold on. My question is, if that's the case, right? Is it just that they're so good for the SWAC, because I just made the point. If you put them in the CAA, if you put them in the Missouri Valley, if you put them in the Big Sky, if you put them in the SoCon or whatever, like there's going to be teams that could compete against them. So is it just that the SWAC is that bad and JSU is just above the front, or are the teams that good? Because we can really never know because they're not going to go play. They haven't played a top 15, top 10 FCS team. But what's that? Because think about it. I think it's like a catch-22. Because if they lose to somebody in the SWAC, it's like, damn, is Jackson State really that good? Or if they run through the SWAC, it's like, is the SWAC that bad? So I mean, it's kind of like a lose-lose. But at the same time, you really want to see how good Jackson State can be. And then they won't play. They're not playing any FBS teams this year. So you really don't get to see what they can really do compete-wise. So
you really, honestly, it's steps. And I think it's really steps, because I think this year proves that, hey, this is how we come in. This is what we're about. This year is going to, of course, draw way more recruits in, 4-star, 5-stars, a lot of transfers. By the time this season blows by and they do what we think they're going to do, stump on every team, so if they're able to stump on every team, just imagine how many recruits they would come, they would bring in, how many transfers they would bring in, how many, like just so much hype around JSU if they do, what's highly expected of them, so it's like, at this point, it's just, no, I wouldn't say they can compete with these, huge teams or in the SEC and these Power 5 schools, but give them a year or two at the most, 2 years at the most, it's just going to be to the point in 2 years, a year or two, it's just going to be to the point where, why would you not put them against these Power 5 schools? You know what I mean? It's just, I think the way JSU going, they have so many players that's trying to prove themselves, that's not getting playing time. So, once they get on the field, a lot of these players on JSU, they, once they get on the field, they feel like they're not going to get back on the field. They get off. You know what I mean? So it's just all these receivers, their receiving core is so deep. Everybody trying to prove themselves. Their defensive core is they're so deep in every position. Everybody trying to prove themselves, and they're playing at a different tempo because they're playing for Deion Sanders. They already know they got the NFL scouts watching them. They already know they're on the biggest platform. These players that play for JSU, they know they have so many eyes and so much expectation. It's just the playmaking. It's just going to be so real. I think it's going to just surprise all of us.
All right, thanks for the call. You got anything to say, Blue?
No, you go. You can go to the next caller.
Wow, 0915, caller, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, Scotty?
What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, I'm Raymond, man. I'm calling from McGee, Mississippi, and I'm a big Jackson State fan.
Oh, Lord.
It's like this, man. No. We're going to be real about it.
Okay, I can respect it.
Now, listen to me and understand me good. And don't hang up on me. A lot of people, they see a few things and they want to go Heisman. Well, if he was at the Alabamas,
I'm not even going there. Listen to me very closely, okay? If you take Shador away from his dad, the situation is different. If you put Shador at Alabama, is he beating over Bryce Young? We don't know. Because the one thing about Nick Saban, other than Deion, is he's going to keep recruiting high-level quarterbacks to compete against. It's not going to be a situation where your son walks into the job and there's never another quarterback to compete against. That will never happen at the Power 5 level. So I'm going to stop you before you get going, and I'm going to hang up on you, okay? Next caller, 6151. You're live.
Hey, what's going on, Scotty? What's going on, Blue? I appreciate what you guys been doing, man. I've been following y'all for a while. Just you all mentioned if it rained, it'll be in Tennessee State favor. I think it'll be a good game because if I look back at Blue videos from years ago, he graded Tyler Brown, Evan Hendry, and Bro are excellent run blockers. And remember, Wixon is an East Coast running back who runs with power, who made his living in the snow and the rain.
Okay, so you said Sylveon Wilkinson is the East-West runner?
No, I said he's an East Coast runner. So playing on a wet field, he's accustomed to that.
Yeah, Delaware
and
State.
Bro, Evan Bro, Henry Bro, and Brown, Blue graded them last year as great run block. So if it gets to a mud fest, I think they can adapt and line up with Wilkinson, and it'll be which offensive line perform the best.
I think, and I'm gonna let Blue jump in here as well. For me, you still got to commit to it. That's the issue with running the ball, right? Running, like, yeah, I might have all the pieces in place, but I still have to commit. Like FAMU and Willie Simmons against Southeast Louisiana. You Bishop Bonnet was your engine that made everything move, and you didn't commit to the run. So this still takes a coordinator saying, hey, we're going to run even though we lost 2 yards in the last play. We're going to run the next drive even though we didn't get a first down like we want to. It's all about committing to the run and then being creative enough to run to run your plays effectively. But go ahead, Blue.
Yeah, my point was if weather dictates that it's a running game, you have people who are experienced running in that weather and blocking in that weather. That was my point.
I think this game, regardless about the weather, I think this game is going to be a little bit more physical. And so I think Sylveon really fits that. But based on what I've been hearing, man, listen, I think Santi Marshall proved last week, man, that you can't that you can't count him out. So I think you're going to see a little bit more Sylveon this week, regardless, just because of the physicality. Because I feel like Tennessee State, and I think a lot of people agree if you've watched that game, have a lot of size on the interior. So therefore, I think Sylveon is going to be featured a little bit more, and I would like to see him featured a little bit more. But we'll see, man. But I think the offensive line looked a lot better in the run game. I think when you look at some of the ones that they broke out, it was because those guards were able to double team and get to the second level and create a big hole. And Santi Marshall was explosive enough to hit that hole at full speed and make some plays. So for me, I think we should see Sylveon a bit more, man. But I think Santi did everything you wanted to see from him last week. So I don't think you're going to see. I think you're going to see some sort of rotation between Santi and Sylveon this weekend.
Okay, thank you, bro. Y'all have a good night.
Hey, appreciate it. Let me see. 1561 coming to you. Go ahead.
What's going on with you, man?
What's up? What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's LC calling from Dallas, man.
Talk to me.
Yeah, man, I was trying to find out, man, what would Jackson State have to do? Not necessarily even just Jackson State, but what would the SWAC have to do to qualify to, I guess, like move up? Since all these teams are moving out of these different conferences and whatnot, what do they have to do to move up? You know what I mean, to that Power 5 level? I mean, would they have to merge? I believe the SWAC and the MEAC should merge and make their own super conference. And, you know, in a way like the NCAA can move that conference up to a Power 5 level.
Okay, they're not moving to a Power 5. Like Power 5, like you. So hang on, let me get this straight. I just want answers from everybody in the chat. Everything. You guys are complaining about playing UAB for money, but now y'all want to go Power 5.
I mean, I don't care. I can care less about, you know what I'm saying, who they playing. I mean, when they get up there, they gonna get their ass smashed either way it go until at least a good 3 years until they all be able to catch up. But I mean, if that's what all they complaining about, not being able to have the money and the resources and this and that. Like, you know, I watch our shows. I see what y'all, you know, I see what all scripts talking about what Texas Southern was going through down there with no locker room and shit like that. That's pathetic. But
okay,
okay, you know what I mean? Because go ahead, Blue.
Oh no, you're good. So, okay, so let me just put this out here. This is legit information. Let's just say this happens. The only conference that legally can move up as a group is the WAC. And the reason they can do that is because they used to be an FBS conference in the past, so they almost get kind of like grandfathered into being one. So when it disbanded, they always can be an FBS conference. So when they came back, they started at the FCS level so they can build up some teams and things like that, get the conference going. And the goal for the WAC is to eventually move as a conference up to the next level, which is why the membership to the WAC was supposed to be like this golden ticket to the FBS. Now, it hasn't really worked out that way, but we'll see what their game plan is there. But the WAC is the only conference that can move up as a whole, unless the NCAA approves some sort of special waiver, something like that. And when you look at it, let's just be real here. Is there what teams in the MEAC and the SWAC, if they merge, like you said, are like which do you think all those programs could support programs and win at the Group of 5 level? Because Power 5's not happening.
No, I don't think all of them could. But I know that, you know what I mean, it's going to be certain teams that's not going to want to, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's how they would feel about, you know, leaving their brothers behind as far as the other experiences. Because I know, to be realistic, I know there's only a select few of HBCUs that'll be able to move up. You know what I mean? Maybe like 3 out of the SWAC and 2 or maybe 3 out of the MEAC. You know what I mean? But I guess I'm trying to be fair and don't want to leave, you know, no brother left behind type shit. You know what I mean? I'll see my own type stuff.
No, you good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, so the process. Okay. So the process would be all that would have to happen is the CUSA or the Sun Belt, which are probably the two most likely conferences to I would say fit geographically because of travel cost. What would have to happen is they would just have to be invited. That's it. Like that's the only thing that has to happen is for them to receive an invitation. Now,
I know people are banging at the door, you know, for Jackson State right now to come up there. I know they are, man. For Jackson State, maybe even FAMU, just because off of their you know, the location and you know, the reputation that FAMU carry. North Carolina, A&T. Who's that? I mean, it's not. I don't see any. You know, Navy Southern. You know what I mean?
What? Okay.
But,
I'm sorry.
you know,
I'm sorry. Why would a Power 5 team be banging down the door?
No. He said Group of 5. He's taking it down to Group of 5.
Yeah,
Group of 5. And listen, man.
Yeah.
The problem is you have to look at it.
Calm down, Scotty. Calm down, bro. Don't get at me, bro.
and this is what people fail to look at. So everyone looks at it in a vacuum. Like, is our school, you know, ready to make that move? But you also have to look at what other schools are up for that invite. So you're sitting there right now. Let's just say, but Jackson State is probably right now the only team that would even consider making that move with Coach Prawn there. But you got to look at Eastern Kentucky.
Right.
Is looking to move up, and what happened is the CUSA has Western Kentucky. So are they trying to lock down Kentucky with Eastern Kentucky and add them? You have Kennesaw State that's sitting there right outside of Atlanta, have a lot of money, has been very successful at the FCS level. They're sitting right there too for the CUSA or Sun Belt as well. You have Tarleton State that is just pouring money into their program right now, trying to get there. And then on top of that, you do have some of the teams in the CAA that have been very, very vocal about wanting to move up. So it's just you all you get to do is prepare your program and listen. This is what every AD is doing. Listen, they're trying to increase budgets, they're trying to improve facilities, they're trying to improve stadiums, regardless if a move up is coming in the future or not. But the thing is you just got to make sure your program's ready. And if you're going to invite your ADs and board of trustees and everything, just got to make sure you make the correct decision. But you know, that's kind of where I'll leave it, man. But the conference as a whole,
earlier they get them folks down there up out of Texas Southern up out of there, man. There ain't no way big as Houston is that Texas Southern ain't on the map, man.
Andrew Body should have everything he need down there right now, fam.
That's fair. That's fair.
I got a little cousin that just went down there to Texas Southern to go walk on this year, man. A wide receiver. His name is Elijah Kenny. He from I forgot what school he went to. The high school he was calling out of, man, because he moving around. But anyway, when he got down there, man, they just said that every other school was having fall walk-ons or whatever the latest walk doing, walk-on tryouts. When he get down there, they said they're not even doing tryouts no more. I'm like, what? As much as help as Texas Southern need down there, man, they played like 50-some freshmen last year. How y'all not doing walk-ons no more? And it's just ridiculous. He's gonna have to sit out this year. He's already enrolled at the school and everything. He's gonna have to wait this year out and then try to walk on next year.
Appreciate it.
I'm like,
thank you. Bye-bye. All right. No, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. All right. Oh my gosh, man. Man would just keep calling in.
That's cool, man. Taking them out one by one, man.
Hey, I'm gonna go back to the guy who was talking Heisman talk. Hello, you live.
Hey, Scotty, man, I was agreeing with you, man, and you didn't let me say what I was going to say. I agree with you.
My bad.
Hello? Yeah, you just dissed me, man. I mean, I'm a realist, man. It's not going to happen. That's what I was trying to tell you, and that's what I'm trying to tell the fans. I mean, yeah, he do his thing, but it's a difference when you start talking about the Alabamas and the Michigans and all that. It's a big difference. I love college football. I love it. But let's just be real. I mean, we just not coming back to what Jackson State used to be. So let's just enjoy that moment and leave everything else alone and let the cards fall wherever they may. Do you agree?
That's facts.
I mean, I'm just, Scotty, man, I watch your show all the time. And yeah, I know Steve McNair personally. I just hung out with his family over the holiday.
That's dope.
But at the same time, just let him be who he is, do whatever he do, and whatever the football gods and the good Lord bless him with, let that be. But you can't wish and write somebody in already right now for something that you got to wait 9 more months for. Let's just be real. Right or wrong, Scotty?
Right.
So, I just, only thing I want to see, man, I don't want to see what I saw last week. Yes, I'm going to do this thing. But how can you be excited about a game that's 59-3? I want to see a close, hard-fought football game. I want to see a 13-10 or 7-9 or 12-6. I want to see real football. I want to see them get in them trenches and go get it, and maybe the best dog win. And a lot of people is caught up with, Tennessee State, this, that. I love football.
That's fair.
Let's go back to the old days. Let's go get it.
Facts. I love it. Appreciate the call. My bad for hanging up. All righty. Let's this guy been holding on for a minute. 4034 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live. 4034, you're live. All righty. Knocking them out one by one. Somebody sleep. 4718 coming to you. 4718. Hey, you're live.
Hey, Scott, this is Warren. I'm from Mississippi. I'm not a Jackson State fan, so don't worry about that. so I just want to know, chime in, and look, I might ruffle some feathers. I'm gonna let you know, but I'm gonna say one. This Power 5, Group of 5 talk. I don't see a team in the SWAC outside of PV moving up to that level.
Because of money.
Financially, financially, none of the SWAC teams could support that. Because let's compare this. I looked at 2 schools here in Mississippi that's private institutions.
You got Millsaps College and Belhaven. Both teams actually made more money and actually saw a profit in their athletic department than Valley did. And they have less. Their stadium for, I think, like Belhaven Stadium only seats 900 people for football. So it comes down to the fact is, who is pouring money into these SWAC schools' athletic budgets? Because it looks like the alumni is not. No, so really, the only school would, really can consider that is Prairie View, and they did an article on it. So we kill that noise. We can kill it. Heisman-wise, Shador, yeah, that was an impressive performance he did at FAMU. But let's just be realistic. Do you see Shador starting at Alabama, or do you see him going to Ohio State winning the job, or Texas, any of those blue blood programs winning a starting QB job? No. Now, more realistically, he did choose, I think, Florida Atlantic because it would have been an easier time to win the job. But he does. This is the thing. Daddy ball is being played, and that's how he got the job, and that's all it is. I would say realistically, he's going to win a couple of awards down there at Jackson State. Heisman-wise, we can cut that out. And there's no way he would beat out Bryce Young. Bryce Young has a chance to repeat as Heisman winner this year. So that's it right there. So all you TSU fans, yes, Shador is a good quarterback. To me, he's not FBS good.
Okay, I'll disagree with you on that. I disagree.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's FBS good. I just don't think he's like. I don't think he'll be in the Heisman. But I think he'll be a very competent quarterback in FBS. I think he'll be what a lot of, I think he would. I think he could be. And I got a limited college football acumen as my boy Blue. I gotta take some time on this one.
Your Blue knows everything.
I think he could be what's the dude from Clemson before they started winning? TJ when they had
about Taj Boyd.
Yeah, I think he could be a successful guy. Like you're not a championship, but you're just successful. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that could be sure.
I'll give him that. I'll give him that knock. I would say he, I do see several programs he could, compete, and play at a very high level. I would just think, when it comes to playing top quarterbacks, I don't think he would, I think it's going to be a hard time for him to show up. Is what I'm saying is I think it's several D1 programs out there that they can make a name for himself, but when it comes down to those big games is what everybody has to look at. Can he win those big games?
I think this is the thing. This is why my issue with what people do for Shador is I think you have to understand that the biggest thing to me is that he is in a controlled environment. And I want to listen to what I'm saying to you, right? He's in an environment where his dad is the biggest thing in the environment. Like, he's the biggest thing in the SWAC. If Dion steps foot in, I don't even want to stop. I'm even going to use the SEC. If he even goes to the ACC, Dion is a big thing, but he still has other programs that just their name alone are just as big. You know what I'm saying? So you have the Clemsons, you have, ACC, the football is really not that good. But, you know what I'm saying? If he goes into the Big Ten, there's brands. I just think if you take Shador away from his dad, he's not as great. I still think he's a good quarterback. Listen to me. He's still a good quarterback. He can start at FBS. He can play for a lot of Group of 5 teams off the rip. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. But he's not freshman of the year. He's not an offensive player of the year. That's not what he is. Because he's not that dynamic. And I just think he needs a lot of pieces to make him really great. Shador is smart as a whip. Great, decent arm, has a good arm. Great IQ for the game. Amazing pocket presence. But he's just not an elevator of talent. That's what I believe. And to me, you'll never see that because his dad influxes so much talent around him it's just like it's the Alabama of the SWAC. You don't know how good these quarterbacks are until you take them away from Alabama. You're like, you're really not as what you were advertised to be. You know what I'm saying? You got the Mac Jones, you got the Jalen Hurts, but you know what I'm saying? But Blue's a college, walking encyclopedia. So,
Yeah, listen, he'd be a starter at the FBS level, like, because when people like to say he wouldn't. Every time they say that, they bring up the Ohio States, the Alabamas. Like, that's not a fair comparison. Like, he would, like, you got to look at some of the quarterback situations around football, man. There's multiple SEC schools that I think Shedeur might be an upgrade over their quarterback, and there's some in the ACC. Like, there's some teams that missed on quarterbacks that would love to have Shedeur, but listen, man, we'll never know. And I don't think you can call it daddy ball. I don't listen, in my opinion, Shedeur's the best quarterback in the SWAC. He started any SWAC team, and there's no conversation regardless if Prime or anyone is there or not. So I don't think you could say is daddy ball or anything, but listen, to say he's not an FBS quarterback, I don't think that's true. Especially when I'm looking at FCS, I think Eric Berrier could have been a Power 5 quarterback. I think Cole Kelly, if he was not at Arkansas, probably could have been a Power 5 quarterback. Jason Shelley could be a Power 5 quarterback. Like, there's a lot of guys at the FCS level that are talented that are at the FCS level due to various reasons. Regardless if it's off the field issues, if it's grades, if they just wound up in the wrong spot or whatever. But I don't think you could say he's not an FBS quarterback just because he's playing at Jackson State. I think that's a short-sighted assessment of his talent.
Oh, well, I agree with that. As I said, he did get offer from several Power 5 programs, and I say, Group of 5, yeah, I would say, there's plenty of things, especially at that level, you could, start off right off the rip. And I would say, in the SEC, probably could get the job, maybe that, I would say Vanderbilt, that could be a lock. Maybe Mississippi State, possibly get it, but it's just, I look at it, really a lot of, way college football is, just so, it's changing around us, and so many guys is just going up, and they're moving up from FCS, and there's a lot of, guys going down. I would say it's crazy. It's a very interesting moment, I would say. So really, I would say, Blue, you gave great assessment on that. So you're the knowledge guy. So I'll give you that on that.
Hey, appreciate the call, bro. That's what I'm saying. Walking encyclopedia.
He named the one school that he probably wouldn't start at in that whole list, but like, it's fine. I got what he meant.
Yeah, no. Listen, man. Listen. It's daddy ball because, and this is my issue with, and this is why it's daddy ball for me. It's because you won't go get a guy to compete. That's my only issue, because at any other school, you're going to have to compete. Like, if you and let's take all the big guys out, right? No guy is going to say, you know what, hey, I got this guy, I'm not going to recruit that position. They don't do that. Everybody's position is recruitable. And to me, how is everybody replaceable on the team but your son? That's daddy ball. It's no, like, bro, come on. That's the definition of daddy ball. Everybody else, everybody else replaceable but number 2. Huh? That's the definition of daddy ball. I don't understand it. And it's not to say it's right or wrong, because 2 is talented. Shedeur is talented, but he's not the most talented person on the team. He ain't that. So if you still recruiting Nuggets position, you still recruiting Shane Hook's position, you still recruiting Malachi Wyman's position, you still recruiting Devontae Davis' position, you still recruiting Aubrey Miller's position, you recruiting Shiloh's position. Blue, you even said it. They went and got Gregory Great to replace him at the safety position. Everybody's getting replaced but the quarterback. That's daddy ball. But anyway, 8047 coming to you.
Hey, what's going on, Scotty? What's going on, Blue? This is your boy, this is your boy, FBS kid. It's been a while since I called.
Appreciate the call.
All right, so
Well, thank you for having me here. And so my two topics I want to bring up are some of the foolishness I've heard some people mention with some of the group of 5 teams moving up. I mean that some of the teams I've heard mentioned, or some of the things I've heard mentioned, which is absolutely asinine. And of course, obviously, I want to talk about Shador and kind of continue you guys' conversation. So first, let me just start with Shador. No, Scotty, I don't see Taj Boyd. The guy he reminds me of a lot, Shador, is actually a quarterback who played just last year at Western Kentucky. That player name is Bailey Zapp. He just recently went to the NFL, drafted in the 4th round by the New England Patriots. Smart kid, high IQ, can read defense exceptionally well. Tremendous at the line of scrimmage in terms of making play calls and right adjustments at the line, pre-snap reads and whatnot. Has a good feel of accuracy through all 3 levels, intermediate, short, as well as deep. The questionable thing about him is, his size was a bit of an issue. He's a couple inches shorter than Shador. So, that's kind of a little bit of a difference. But that being said, Bailey put up some amazing numbers last year at Western Kentucky.
What's his name?
Bailey Zapp. Blue probably is familiar with Bailey.
His name is Blue?
Bailey Zapp. He transferred. He was playing. Yeah, he went to the Patriots in the 4th round. He was playing at Houston Baptist and transferred to Eastern Kentucky.
Okay, I thought it was Western Kentucky.
Or Western Kentucky. My bad. Yeah, Western Kentucky. My bad.
Okay. Oh, I got something right over Blue. Oh!
Did.
Let's go. Give me. Listen, hey, man, put that in the calendar. Put that in the. Put that in the calendar. So Western Kentucky. Okay, I know about Zaley back, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean he got potential to be even more than that, but we that's all development. So we're not there yet. He's only a sophomore. But that being said, I do want to say I love the discussion as far as him playing daddy ball. It's hard to disagree right now because at the end of the day, you're right. They're not recruiting nobody for that position other than guys who clearly won't challenge Shador for that job. And we know how Dion is. Every position, he's bringing people in to challenge the other person for their job. I mean, he's always saying his motto, I'm looking for the next person to replace you. Well, that's the case for everybody but Shador. We just got to be honest about that.
Thank you. Just be honest.
So, but that being said, I'm still high on Shador. I'm very high on Bailey Zapp. I did a recruit profile on him, and I was very impressed kind of what he is. And Shador has a lot of those qualities. But that being said, back to I don't call me FBS Kenny for a reason. It's because I have connections within the ground, especially realignment. And as far as like Perry View A&M being a team that's getting looked at by the FBS schools, the group of 5, that's nonsense. Even though they have that Texas A&M Board of Regency money that's coming in, which is why you see their athletic budget from previous years a little higher than others, they don't really have that kind of money. It's not really there. I mean, if you really go look deep into their program, the money's not really there. The teams that are even though the conferences have called a number of teams in the HBCU sphere, the teams that are most seriously looking up right now is Jackson State, North Carolina A&T, FAMU. Obviously, that what just happened recently was a really bad look for FAMU, and that's why you saw them hire those four what they call them, I forget, the issue they just had recently, but you just saw them hire 4 of them because they're trying to make that move to the FBS. They tried to make the move like about 18, 19 years ago, and they got into all kinds of issues. The NCAA pushed them up a year early. They had like 15 players that were ineligible, including one that they just had as a transfer. Of course, it was hard for them to schedule games. One of the biggest things I continue to say why you don't see North Dakota State move up is it's really difficult to get games scheduled as an FBS school. The reason why Liberty was able to make the move up is because Liberty has so much money that Liberty was paying teams to play them like heavy, big money. They were paying teams like a couple million, $3 million to play them in the FBS. They were paying people, way more than the expected, the lot of amount they usually is given. And that's how he was able to make the move jump to being independent. But everybody else that's independent that you look up, they all have a lot of history with, the teams in the FBS, like Army, UConn, UMass, Notre Dame. So, you can't make the move to say, oh, I'm going to make the move because I got the money or because I think I'm ready. No, you can't make that move because if you make that move up, you might not find anybody to play. So it's very difficult to find people to play, especially if you're good. People do not want to play good teams if it doesn't count against if it counts against their record. So we just got to be honest about that. But as far as HBCUs looking to move up to the FBS, there's been a number of teams getting called. A lot of people have shown interest, but for the most part, the ones that's really serious is like FAMU, North Carolina A&T, and Jackson State, and obviously Grambling has shown interest, but they're not in that position yet. The biggest benefit to those three universities I named previously, they're all are two universities by the Carnegie by the Carnegie stamp. So that's really important to a number of these groups.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I listen. I'm sorry. You're just going on a tangent. I'm sorry. 5632 coming to you.
Hey, what's going on, Scotty? This is Ricky from Bradenton.
What's up, man? Talk to me.
Hey, HBCU Sports Wire here. I'm going to be at the Texas Southern and North Texas game. I know we're talking about Jackson State. What I will say about that, I was there at the game on last week, and Jackson State is as advertised. However, what I will say is that you definitely can't, like a lot of these people, you can't judge it off of one game. They gotta put a whole body of work together, and they haven't done that. They just won a battle, but they have not, won the war, for lack of a better term. But I will be there to see Andrew Body in person and get some great images of him. What do you guys think about that game? Is it a winnable game for Texas Southern based on the letdown from last week, or could they still win this game?
I think it's definitely winnable, and this is why. And I know Blue's gonna be like, no, but for me, it's winnable because it ought to listen. The reason it's winnable is because you have Andrew Body, and I listen. I do not like Clarence McKinley cannot hold Andrew Body back. You can't tell me your quarterback is pressing when they've thrown the ball 15 times. It's not even possible. How can I press with 15 throws? So it will take a Herculean effort by Andrew Body to win this game, but I believe Andrew Body can do it. I believe he is that talented to put up a 300 to 100-yard rushing game to make it competitive. Now, Texas Southern's defense, listen, man, it's Swiss cheese on pizza, okay? So I don't know what's going to come of that, but I do believe Andrew Body has enough talent to make the game competitive if Clarence McKinley lets the boy play. Go ahead, Blue.
No. I mean, listen, they lost by almost 20 points last week to a team that went 0 for 6 with 2 interceptions. Now, I got North Texas running away with this one, man. Just as sad as it is, as much as I love the Bodies, and I hope Texas Southern plays well, bro. They just got beat by 20 by PV with a quarterback that didn't complete a pass. I don't see them having any chance.
Yeah, I scheduled that game early, so I'm kind of like kicking myself because I really should have been at the Southern Heritage Classic, but we had already had that game scheduled out, so I got to go with it. But hey, thanks for the call.
Hey, no problem, man. Appreciate the call. Let me see somebody. Okay, 5531 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live.
Script Blue, how you doing?
Good. How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Kawan. I'm giving you a call from Atlanta.
Hey, Town.
I have a few questions for you all. I wanted to ask you, this is kind of off subject, but I wanted to ask you, how did you guys feel about the quarterback play in the SWAC? I've been going back and forth with friends, talking to them in reference to things that I thought the SWAC could do to improve the quarterback play. And I can remember one of your earlier shows, I think you participated in a quarterback camp at Clark.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, like, what of the schools, like, the schools that are maybe don't have the quarterback coaching on staff, maybe they could outsource and send like their quarterbacks to camps in the summertime. Do you think that would make any improvement? That would be one of my questions. The other question I wanted to ask you all is, I heard the commissioner for the Southland Conference saying that he would be open to having like some SWAC schools join the conference. I wanted to see what you guys thought about possibly Southern, Jackson State, and Florida A&M joining the Southland Conference. And then my last question would be in regards to Shador. I played college football. I played at McNeese State. And actually, I finished at a D2 school in Michigan called Saginaw Valley State University. And the head coach for Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur, he was my quarterback coach. He was my quarterback in college. So, I mean, I can look and I can evaluate talent. I just wanted to know, do you guys think that when Shador first came to Jackson State, do you think the other quarterbacks had a fair chance at being a quarterback? Sometimes a coach can actually look at a player and say, this player here got it, this other player don't. I just want to know if you thought that whole battle process or whatever, if it was fair. That's all I have.
Hey, man, appreciate the call. We'll answer your questions. So the first one was, I do remember the Southland one. The second one, the first one was quarterbacks in the SWAC. The second one was the Southland teams for the SWAC moving over. And third, Shador in the battle at Jackson State. So, Blue, you could take the first one,
So what was it about the quarterbacks? Like rank them or
no, the quarterback play in the SWAC. What can they do to get better just overall?
You just gotta have. I mean, I guess you could say better QB development at times. It just is. I mean, I think it's also comparing it to a fair data point. Like you're not always going to have a Shador type performance. But I mean, I think for me, it's just recruiting better quarterbacks. Like it's just that simple. Like if you are underperforming at a position, then recruit better players. That's how it is. And so if you don't have good quarterbacks, go out and find you a good quarterback. And that's kind of how I feel about it. I don't think there's any secret formula that SWAC teams aren't using to develop quarterbacks. It's just Eastern Washington has a checklist of what they want in a quarterback, and they've recruited that for 15 years. And they've consistently had great quarterback play. SWAC teams have to do the same.
For me, is this. I think a lot of SWAC schools, they end up trying to turn an athlete into a quarterback. You get in that realm of you see somebody so raw because it's twofold. You don't think before Deion, from what I've been told, you didn't think you could get the 3 and 4 star players. You didn't think so. You go recruit the 2 and 1 star players. Well, the reason they're 1 or 2 stars, not all the time, is usually because they're raw. They might have a high upside, but you just haven't seen it come to fruition. So there's coaches thinking hey, I get this kid, I can mold him, I can get him to what in my system, and I can mold him to what fits my system. Well, then you end up saying, well, he's not a true quarterback, or he doesn't understand the basics of quarterback. He doesn't understand footwork. So you're taking a lot of time to build something that it might take you 3 or 4 years to just get your investment back. And then I think you saw a lot of that. Also, let's be real. If you're comparing everybody to Shador, understand everybody doesn't have Shador level training. Not everybody is walking up to Tom Brady for QB sessions. Not everybody is going to select QB camps. A lot of these kids are just learning as they go. A lot of these kids are, what I'm saying, that you see are just naturally gifted. What I'm saying? I think the great coaches and the great QB coaches, you mold guys. You find a guy that you think has a decent arm, or he can throw it, he can sling it, but he needs a couple twerks and tweaks, and you work with them. You know what I'm saying? Because I think Blue says it all the time with linemen. It's hard to find the guys that are really, really great, they don't go to you. The guys that are just hey, that's a quarterback. They don't go to you. So you have to do the coaching. You have to do the molding. You have to do all the little things to get the guy to fit your system and your scheme. And that's why those coaches get paid the big bucks. Next question, Blue, was Southland Conference. I don't know you talking about the Southland Conference being able to get SWAC schools. That's on you.
I mean, they've already reached out and there's been conversations. I think there was a handful of SWAC schools, we ain't got to name them right now, that were going to do it and really were considering the move. And then when Coach Prime got to Jackson State, they kind of convinced them to to stay and kind of wait it out. And so right now with the momentum the SWAC has, I don't see this happening. But according to some people I talked to at Southland Media Day, if Jackson State makes the move to the FBS level, there are some SWAC schools that would consider the Southland as an alternative option if the SWAC took a downturn if Jackson State left. And so we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. And then the last question, the Shador and QB battle, I've talked about that enough. If you want to know my opinion, go back and watch my old video. All right. 2156 coming to you, and then JB coming to you next. Hey, caller, you live. Talk to me.
Hey, what's going on, Scotty? What's going on, Blue? Man, listen, I like a word with the producer. 30 minutes ago, I made the Final Four. And 30 minutes later, I'm just getting brought in. Man, so listen, whenever you're in Rome, you do what the Romans do. And I'll make sure that I won't bring up Shador and a certain award. But as it pertains to JSU and TSU, I know a lot of people have been talking about what TSU need to do to make the game competitive. Quite frankly, I don't think they have the defense to be able to stop JSU. I just don't see it. I don't care what type of defense they play. At some point, JSU, so to me, the three keys are for TSU to even be in the game, got to be inclement weather, serious ball control, top level, top notch ball control, and they got to force at least 2 or 3 turnovers. So,
can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Why do you think that they don't have a chance when they just went up against Eastern Washington that runs the same type of scheme? I'm not saying they have the same athletes.
Man.
But go ahead.
Oh, man, because, the film is out on TSU, right? They was able to sneak up on Eastern Washington or whoever the name of that club was. But, you got analysts and you got, NFL players actually studying not necessarily the tendencies, but they got a feel for what's coming, right? And JSU has the athletes on defense to stack 8 in the box and still be able to cover if they decide to throw the ball. So I don't see the run being successful. That's just my opinion. Again, JSU have the athletes to be on the athlete in mano, and I think control anything that TSU try to do through the air. Now, on the flip side, go ahead.
So does Tennessee State not have film on Jackson State? I'm just confused because you're making it sound all one way, like they don't have film on Jackson State. I'm just confused.
No, they don't. The TSU have analysts. Do they have the level of football IQ and intelligence in their building that JSU have in there?
Wow. So wow. Okay. Eddie George is not a slouch. He has.
No. I'm not taking nothing away from Eddie George.
You are.
All right. He's a Hall of Fame in his own right.
You are.
But let's be real.
But you are. You literally just did. You just said they don't have the acumen of JSU, so you are taking something away from Eddie George.
No. You said Eddie George is not a slouch, and I'm not taking nothing away from Eddie George, but I think Eddie George will tell you, man, listen, I don't have what Dion have in Jackson. I think if you ask Eddie George that, he'll tell you the same thing. And when it comes down to the personnel, the pros and Joes on defense, man, them guys not going to stop Jackson State from hanging 30, 40 points. They're not. Again, unless you're dealing with inclement weather. But if the weather is favorable, and when I say favorable, the sun is out, and everybody doesn't enjoy themselves because it's a game where we ain't got to worry about the weather. Probably the first, second quarter, but and you got to factor in that transfer from Ohio State. He got ejected from Targeting, so he's not going to see the field till the second half. And by the time
he's eligible immediately. He got ejected in the second quarter. He does not have to sit out this game.
You say he don't have to sit out?
No, he got ejected before halftime. The only time you have to sit out the first half of the next game is if you get ejected after halftime.
Okay. So, y'all, I'm calling on y'all show, right? I'm in y'all house. Y'all really think Tennessee have the players on defense to be able to slow down Jackson? To stop Jackson from scoring 30, 40 points?
because I don't see Tennessee State putting up over 20 points. I don't.
Well, both of us.
20 points. I'm being generous. I honestly don't see them putting over 14.
Well, both of us predicted Jackson State to score in the 30s, so I don't think neither of us have said that we think Tennessee State's going to shut down Jackson State's offense.
My thing is this. This is what's difficult for me is I feel like you're not giving enough credence to the Eastern Washington and Tennessee State game, because they're literally Eastern Washington is a air raid style offense. Jackson State is literally running the same scheme. So what I'm saying is, listen, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee State's like, yo, we've seen this before. We can handle it and we can manage it. Now, me and Blue's opinion is that I think they're still going to put up points. I think they're still going to have a chance to win. But I don't know, like the way you're talking is like Tennessee State shouldn't even be on the field with them. And I'm like, that's far from the case. Because if you can keep up with Eastern Washington with the style of play that they do in inclement weather, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to keep up with Jackson State, for however long until the game gets away from you, or if the game does get away from you.
Yeah. So, man, this is my thing. Scott, I know you got a trigger. I didn't call in on your show enough, so I'm not gonna say what I want to say as it pertains to Jackson State in comparison to Eastern Washington, the Eastern Washington offense. So we'll see. Matter of fact, we'll see after Saturday how everything unfolds. But I do have a question as it pertains to Shador and the third award that I won't bring up. So obviously you made.
We not like, bro. Like, I'm not doing it with y'all. I'm not doing it. Let me see. JB, then 3771. Hey, caller, you live. Talk to me.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm sorry in advance that y'all having to sit through some of these calls. I think we could probably finally wrap up with the fact that a lot of our fans don't actually follow FCS football, and it's getting kind of nauseating. But once again, y'all probably used to this by now when you're calling shows. Okay, the first thing is this move to FBS. Okay, how many schools in the SWAC actually have budgets where they could actually maintain a possible move up to FBS? And by maintain, I'm talking about athletic budgets over $15 million. Does any SWAC school have this, or even close?
I don't know. I doubt it.
Okay. And I think, Scott, you mentioned this on your show a few weeks ago. You talked about buying the BMW and then trying to maintain it. And of course, we all know like how much maintenance that stuff is. It's the same thing trying to move up. And a lot of our schools can barely move up. I mean, could barely maintain at the FCS level. So that's my first point. Second point I have is we're talking about Shador and the Heisman Trophy. Okay, let's pump our brakes on that for a second. Is he even Walter Payton Award, like being the best quarterback in the FCS? Is he better than Jason Shelley right now, who's gone for 230 and 3 touches in the first half against top 25 ranked UT Martin? Is he better than Ward, the kid from Incarnate Word last week, who went for 300 plus and 6 scores against top 25 Southern Illinois? Is he that good already? We don't know that yet. So the other thing also. And my last point is, and of course, Blue MX is going up to Fargo tomorrow to go see AUT take on the Bison. So that's going to be a good time. What are your thoughts about some of the other FCS non-conference games this weekend? And I'll actually hang up now.
I appreciate it,
if that's all right.
Oh man, well we're in hour 3, man. So I ain't gonna run through all of them. I broke down most of the out of conference games on my preview yesterday, man. So just go check out my what was it, week 2 FCS preview from last night. It's like a 2-hour live stream, and I broke down pretty much all the out of conference games, like the big ones. So you can go check that one out, man. Instead of me taking the 400 people watching the show, man, and running them through every single FCS out of conference game. And there's an article an article on the website too, where I give my prediction and breakdown for some of those games too.
All right, too easy. Go check out the video. FCS week. What is it? FCS week 2 review. 3771 coming to you.
But I'm returning this fall with my quiz show.
37.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, you live.
Okay. I want your opinion. Who needs this game more, South Carolina State or Bethune-Cookman?
That's a good question. South Carolina State.
Yeah, South Carolina State for sure.
That's all I want to know. And how important is it for Alcorn to look good against Tulane?
I hope they look really good against Tulane, because I mean, going into the regular season, to me, I'll have them top 2 in the SWAC. You know what I'm saying? Behind Jackson State. You know, next to, depending on how Southern looks for LSU. You know what I'm saying? Behind Jackson State. I gotta mute you because your background's really loud. Yeah, so if Alcorn looks good against Tulane, I mean, that would be a perfect situation to where you're like, man, like Alcorn could really do some damage this year, especially with the run game. I think Aaron Allen is very comparable as a quarterback. That's what you're looking for. And you know, just to kind of replace Felix and get some stability at that position. So I hope they look really good against Tulane and make it a game. What's up with you, Blue?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think it's important for just the SWAC in general, man. After some of the beatdowns that we've seen, like from Arkansas State and UAB, it's gonna be nice to see someone be competitive. Because in my opinion, I don't think Arkansas State especially Arkansas State is that much better than Grambling, or they shouldn't be. To me, I thought Grambling really underperformed, and I already said on my show yesterday, I think Alcorn has the talent to keep things interesting with Tulane. Do I think they're going to win? Maybe not. But for me, there's no reason they should lose by more than 21 points in that game. And if you can just keep it competitive early, get out of there with no injuries, man, that's a win for you. So I think it's important in terms of the conference's perception. But for me, I think Alcorn proved everything they needed to do. Anything they needed to do last week with how they performed against Stephen F. Austin. So I think Alcorn should compete, and I'll be disappointed if they don't.
All righty, last caller, 1786 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live. Talk to me. Hey, caller, 1786, you live. Talk to me. All righty, lost your opportunity. So I'll take the last caller is probably either Moose or Smoke. So let me see. Hey, caller, you live. Talk to me.
Hello, I just want to wipe your head up on me out. I had a question: if Shador get the Heisman?
All right.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm good on that. All right, Blue. Whew. All right, long night. Anything you got coming up this week, Blue, other than bringing up Lightning in the Memphis Classic?
Nah, man. I'll be headed to Memphis tomorrow, so I don't think I have any videos dropping. If I do, man, it'll be unexpected. So just have on those post notifications, man. Other than that, man, I'll have highlights and things like that coming from the Southern Heritage Classic this weekend. Me and Scotty might be have something cooking up in Memphis for you guys, so stay tuned for that. But definitely dropping a highlight tape, and might try to get some stuff out live to you guys from the sidelines of that game.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll be heading out to Memphis tomorrow as well. Probably be up there about probably like 1 or 2 leaving from Jackson. Also, I'll be doing a tailgate pregame at a tailgate, and I'll probably do my post game at the tailgate possibly as well. If it's raining, then probably shut that all down. But you guys can catch me there. I'll probably make a post on my social media to give you guys more updates on that. But hey, man, listen, 3 hours of the round table. Blue said he was riding with it, so I was riding with it because I would have shut that joker down an hour ago. But hey, man, we appreciate all the calls as always. And listen, man, stop the Heisman talk, please. Let's not do this. Let's not. Okay. All right. So until next time, you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna holler. God bless.